What's up, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. We're appreciating all the support you guys are giving us right now. I'm just here to let you guys know that Maxwell Plumbing, man, they're the go-to plumbing shop around here in Idaho. If you need anything, if you're in Idaho or not, call them, go to their website, maxwellplumbingservices.com, and they will help you out with anything you need. All right, let's get into it.
And we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made it. Dude, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous.
You're nervous?
Yeah.
Have you ever done a podcast before?
I've never done a podcast, and this is my first time on the other end of interviewing somebody.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're normally the interviewer.
I normally do interviewing.
Before we start.
We've already started, so just go with it.
Yeah. I'm going to show you this. This is one of our engineers' cars, project cars. Pass this along.
Oh, yeah, this is sick.
It's beautiful.
I'll put a photo.
Oh, hell
here.
yeah.
I know you're not going to put any photos.
He says
he has
will put a photo there.
It's a R34 GTR imported from Japan.
It's an actual GTR.
Yeah, it's a GTR.
That's sick.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
He just got the body work all done and got it wrapped and all that kind of
Hell
stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's still stock power, but like.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That could
the
be-
thing looks beautiful.
I think there's only one other R34 in Idaho, right?
I think
That
there's
I
a couple
know of.
now.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well-
There's one in a garage somewhere that's still not legal.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I've
Yeah.
heard about that.
I have
guys.
pictures of it that I took on my phone.
Do you?
And then there's
Yeah.
a
So
there's
there's
a white
three.
one that
Yeah.
pops
The white
out.
one is Jason 208
Yeah.
Lambo on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the white one's a GTT, I'm pretty
Right.
sure.
That's not
Yeah.
a GTR. Yeah.
Yeah. The hidden one is what is that color? Like the purpley green, like
midnight,
special color?
Yeah, midnight purple.
Midnight purple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's V-Spec 2. It's gorgeous. And it
Yeah.
just sits in a garage 24/7, never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard interesting stories about that car.
I've heard interesting stories about the person.
Me too. Yeah.
First and foremost, I want to say shout out to you for bringing these sick ass
Yeah,
bags.
no, of course.
These things are sick. Do you sell merch?
I do.
Yeah?
I don't sell much,
Oh.
so I give a lot of it away.
Okay.
It's more so I started it. I got all the merch partially like so I could wear it.
Yeah.
And then also when I ordered it, they were like, you have to order a bunch or
Gotcha.
it's
Yep.
twice as much per unit.
Yep.
So like, well, screw it. I'm going to go through this stuff eventually.
Yeah.
So I bought a ton of it and then realized nobody was buying it. And so what I started doing is anytime I do an interview, I bring some for the person I'm interviewing or stuff like this. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll bring some shirts and
It's sick. I'm very
Yeah.
thankful because this is really cool and the bag
You're
is
welcome.
really
Yeah,
cool.
no,
The
of
bag is
course.
sick.
Go
Yeah.
buy his merch. I don't know why you guys aren't
Yeah,
buying the merch.
it's
Go
okay.
buy the merch.
just subscribe on YouTube. That
Yeah.
would help me even more
Fair
than
enough.
buying the merch at this point.
You don't even have to watch the videos.
no,
just
subscribe. Yeah, you don't have to watch if you don't want to. Yeah.
We were hype about the merch because we keep seeing people wearing it, and we.
Oh,
Yeah, I
but
see
we
yeah.
don't
Derek
have
has
any.
it
Yep.
and Kamani has it. And
I
I'm like,
throw it.
I
Well,
want
that's
some.
part of it too.
So,
Is like if I get it out there as much as I can,
Yeah.
people
It's
might see
it's
it and be like,
advertising.
what is that? Like, what is that brand or whoever that is?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it helps me clear up some space in the garage by reducing the bins and bins of T-shirts and
Yeah.
stuff I have laying around. So, no, definitely, I'm glad I could bring some stuff for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's sick. Did you just recently got the S2000?
I got that in January. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you choose the
Let's say-
S2000?
do we want to introduce him
I
before
think
we continue?
I guess you can introduce him.
Fine.
Go ahead,
I feel like
introduce
most know. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I am Tyler LeBlanc. I am the, I guess, creator of MCCGarage, which is a YouTube channel where I interview people with interesting or fun cars.
Yes.
Or interesting people with a car.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be a car somebody thinks is fun or interesting. Sometimes the person is more interesting than the car itself.
Yeah.
I think I
but,
know who you're talking about.
Yeah. 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 So
I
that's
love you,
my
Derek.
Yeah. That's actually true. Like Derek's cars do nothing for the BRZ I was interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Derek's cars do nothing for me. Like I'm not like a huge Subaru guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Derek is just like, oh my God, I just love talking to him.
Yeah,
So
he's cool.
he's a great person to interview. And there's a huge cult following with those cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, even if it's not my interest, it's that person
Yeah.
in that car is
Yeah.
interesting.
I
So
saw the Lexus video did quite well.
the Lexus video was insane. So it's at 18,000 views right now.
Yeesh.
And it's just blew up. And that it's that community, I think,
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah,
and
true.
the affordable luxury car market is big.
It's big
Yeah.
right now.
So that's what I'm finding is like the Ferrari episode didn't do shit.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I need content. And
Yeah.
if your
Yeah.
video gets 200 views or 100,000, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
Yeah.
What matters is like you're willing to do it with me and you tell your story and you share your experience in your
Yeah.
car, because the even 200 views, me being able to post that, the next video that does 20,000, that played a part in that, because the
Exactly.
algorithm's like wants
Yeah.
you to post consistently.
You're staying active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no communities around Ferraris or some cars, because they're just so few and far between. It's not that they're douchey
Yeah.
cars or shitty cars or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Lexus, just, man, like people were so fired up about that
Yeah.
in the comments, like everything. I was shocked. I
Yeah.
did not expect that.
It's like the difference between like, I don't know, I feel like everybody has made a video on a Ferrari, like look at this Ferrari, look
Mhm.
at this Ferrari,
Yeah.
versus like an actual community that actually cares about the car that's in the video.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's just communities around certain cars
Yeah.
and stuff
Where-
like that.
Do you do weekly uploads?
I try to do 3 uploads a month.
Okay.
So I started it as like a hobby thing,
Yeah.
and just something. My day job, I'm in accounting and finance, and like
Okay.
just brings me no joy.
Yeah.
I'm good at it, so it's a good career, and
Mhm.
I won't stop doing it
Yeah.
unless like the YouTube thing blew up and I can quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rely on that.
Yeah.
But the tough part was just everything else we do in life. Like, it was tough to kind of get consistent with it,
Yeah.
and in the beginning, it was hard to find people to film with,
Oh yeah.
because I didn't have a lot out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no content on my page, only like 2 or 3 episodes, so I had to really sell it.
Yeah.
And now I've been able to gain some traction, and I have so many episodes lined up or filmed that where it's just a matter of like sitting down and getting
Yeah.
the time to edit.
That's
But I have an editor starting this month or in
Really?
September on starting to do like 1 to 2 episodes a month,
Okay.
and just kind of help take the load off.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to ramp up as I go into the winter time,
Yeah.
so that
yeah.
I'm not like freezing my balls off
Fair enough.
like on Bogus Basin Road
Yeah.
Yeah.
trying to film a car.
Are you gonna? Is this a paid editor?
It's paid editor.
Really?
Yeah.
Derek, you need to pay me.
If you're editing his videos, man, you better be getting something for it in return.
I've edited a few videos for free.
Yeah, he's a friend of a friend, and kind of in a similar situation, has a day job, also went to school for film and
Gotcha.
stuff like that, and just is looking for creative projects,
Yeah.
and was really excited to kind of do
Yeah.
some stuff. And so I'm just going to pay him on a per episode basis,
Yeah,
just to
fair
kind of
enough.
like get going, and
Yeah.
and just it's like 1 to 2 episodes a month. So my goal is weekly uploads.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That'd be sick.
yeah, we'll
So,
see.
How did you? I don't know. I kind of want to take it back. It's something that I kind of do with every guest we have on. Is I kind of like to take it back to like. Were you always into cars? Is something like when you were growing up, when you were a kid? Like, what was the thing that really got you interested in it?
I'd say it's a little bit in my DNA and a little bit of just forced upon me, like any car kid. I feel like that with car parents. Or
Yeah.
my mom had really cool cars in the 80s before I was born in
Okay.
'92.
Yeah.
She
So
had
you're old.
what's that?
So you're old.
No,
Yeah,
you're-
I'm old
you're
as shit.
young.
Yeah, you're young. I'm 31 to turn 32 this year. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Oh, you're 21. Dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You're
I'm 22.
Oh my god, you guys are young. I
Yeah.
thought you guys were like maybe 27, 28.
No.
Holy shit.
Uh,
So you guys got plenty of time, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, starting this now, I just let it take off. And
Yeah. That's kind of that's the goal.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so my mom had an FCRX7
Damn.
with the 5-speed white on with a red interior.
Was it a turbo too?
It was not a turbo too, but it was. She drove that thing year round in Massachusetts, like in
That's
the snow.
So it fell apart when she was
It
done
fell
with
apart quickly.
Yeah.
That thing's
Yeah.
a rusted kind of shell now. Somewhere.
Yeah, either a rusted kind of shell or in a just crunched.
yeah.
And then she had a Firebird, an '80s Firebird,
little
also
bit of a
manual.
A little bit of a difference.
She just
there.
went all over the place. She had, and then she was big on BMWs.
Okay.
From like '89 through or '90 through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best years.
Yeah. '89, '90 through like '90. I think she had a BMW when I was born, like '95, and those were all
Nice.
manuals. She
Yeah.
loves like driving a stick and.
Sick.
But my dad was like the influence growing up, so he was a big like just SUV and truck guy, and
Okay.
loved lifting stuff, lowering SUV.
Yeah.
Like, you remember like mini trucking magazines
Yeah.
and all that stuff, dude. He
Yeah.
was so into that.
Okay.
So he had 2-door Tahoes and
Nice.
Blazers, and he would not slam them, but he would like because in Massachusetts you just get so much snow.
Yep.
But he would kind of like just make them look like really clean
Gotcha.
and really cool setups and big
Yeah.
into like rims and tires and chrome back then, chrome.
Yep.
So I just kind of like was around it a lot as a kid,
Mhm.
and then just the Hot Wheels.
They'll
Like
get you, dude.
most kids,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's just the Hot Wheels just got me. I think I had it. I counted them today because my mom sent them all to me. I had
Really?
156
Really?
when I at the end. So I was like,
I should go back and count mine. I
you
have
probably have
That's
more.
not a good idea.
the like bins like that bin right
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
I had like 4 or 5.
Oh, so
full.
you've got like 400 or 500.
Yeah.
Because I had one of those bins.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it was just like it just became a thing. And then I remember it kind of went away a little bit as I got to like 10 or 11.
Mhm.
And I remember maybe like 12. And I remember the second Fast and Furious. I hadn't ever seen the
Oh.
first one.
Yeah.
And I saw the second one on TV. And my friend and I were like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah.
And that R34 Skyline, like when he's going to the meet, and
Yeah.
then I was just like, this is wild, because I didn't grow up in a family that was big on imports.
Yeah.
So it was like muscle cars, and we were a GM family, and Ford sucks, and
Yeah.
it's just like
They do.
stuff you think about now, and you're like, who?
Eh?
Ford sucks.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ford
watch
sucks.
it. Watch it.
Yeah, yeah. At least it's not Dodge,
Yeah.
but
Anything but Dodge, honestly. Anything but a Stellantis
Yeah.
product.
yeah, exactly. So I think that was my first intro into like Hondas and Nissans and
Yeah.
just different. I think that movie changed everybody. It changed every car scene,
Yeah.
anyways. Or the first one did really.
Yeah.
So then I remember going back and watching the first one, and then it just was everything was car focused for years. But the weird thing was I got into sound systems before I got into anything else.
Really?
I just loved I had a friend that was big into it, and I just loved the idea of like how much power can you get out of a sound system
Okay.
to just
Yeah.
kill your eardrums.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's
get the decibels as high as you can.
that's what my first mods were.
Yeah.
I had a little Chevy Aveo was my first
Yeah.
car, and I put a 12-inch subwoofer in the back of that thing.
Yeah.
And then the Impreza I had dual 12s,
Mhm.
full 5-channel amp, new speakers, everything. I don't know, like I didn't spend too much on it, but that was like my intro into car stuff too, was sound stuff.
I think I think sound stuff allows you to do stuff without making the car not drivable.
Yeah.
Or
That's my favorite part.
well, yeah.
Clearly.
or making it like changing it so much that your parents are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so like my first car was a 2004 Chevy Blazer ZR2.
Nice.
So it was like the big fender flares
Yeah.
and shit. And I put 215s in it
Nice.
but I had everything removable. So it was a Chevy bow tie box with the glow behind the Lexan glass and
Okay.
plexing, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And it was like perfect because those are 2 doors, so there's no air escaping the back at
Yeah.
all. So I sounded in the shit out of everything. I sealed the little mini windows. So if you were up front, you just got obliterated.
Yeah.
Mm.
But what was great is like, okay, I'm going camping, or I got to
Yeah.
haul something, or I got to throw something big in
Yeah.
the back. Like I had quick disconnects on everything. I'd take everything out
Yeah.
and like be done
Yeah.
and not have anything in there. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I kind of got into that
No, that makes
early
sense.
on. But that's
Yeah.
my foray into car stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what your first car is. That's sick.
That was my first car. I had
Yeah.
that. Well, technically my first car, but I also had a plowing and snow removal company in high school and
Oh, okay.
college. And so I had like a bunch of beaters with
Mm.
that too. So I had like an 89 K1500. I had a 92 S10 Blazer.
Nice. Yeah.
And those were kind of like but the 04 ZR2 was like what I drove
Yeah.
to school every day.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
I know your first car was the Aveo. I don't know if I've ever talked about my first car on the
You-
show.
A little bit.
A little bit. My first car was a 91 525i. So it was
Oh my
E34.
God, yeah.
That was a 5-speed.
Yeah.
That was
that's
the
sweet.
sickest car, dude.
Yeah.
It was so sick.
What happened to it?
I sold it like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
like we all
Miata.
do. For a Miata?
Yeah.
Still a cool car too,
Yeah.
but
I went E34, Miata, 240.
oh my god, you've
and
had a lot of fun stuff.
I've had a few things, and then I went.
There was a E36 in there.
Yeah, I went E34 again first for a little bit, and then I went E36, and then I went E90,
Mm-hmm.
BRZ, and then E90 again,
Yep.
and then I don't know.
Miata.
Miata. And then I just kept going after that. There was just so many things.
So
and now I'm back at E90.
and you're just rocking.
Somewhere in there was an E39 as well, but yeah.
What about you?
I had the Aveo and the Impreza, and then I have the truck outside and
Yeah.
this BMW.
Yeah.
That's it.
But this thing will be.
This
thing
thing's
will
going to be
sick.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super
You're not gonna need
excited.
anything else after that
No.
No.
for like maybe 6 months. And
Yeah.
then-
Until it blows up.
Yeah,
and then he
until it
does
blows up.
again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I-
if it starts.
Don't fill the tank up.
Absolutely
Don't fill the
not.
tank up. That's
Don't
like
fill
a,
the tank up.
we have like a superstitious thing here about filling
Filling
tanks
the
up.
tank all
If
the way
you
up.
fill your tank up, your car will break down.
Really?
Yeah.
It's happened to us
On
every
command.
time.
Really?
Yeah.
Not without fail, pretty much.
Are you
actually.
serious?
Yeah.
And
Specifically on our BMW.
Just the project cars, like the dailies, we can fill them up, no
But
problem.
the project
The
cars.
project
don't
cars,
fill
every
up.
time we fill them up, something breaks.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You guys get some weird voodoo shit
Yeah.
going on over
Apparently.
here.
So we just put them to like half, 3/4, maybe right before full at the
Yeah.
most. That's kind of playing it. We're kind of like getting close,
yeah.
but never full.
Yeah, that thing has been down for a year. Definitely has a full tank
It's
of
got a
91.
full
Really?
tank of
Yeah.
91, yeah.
It's
That's a
bad
riot.
now, but
Yeah.
I went from 04 Blazer to a Jeep Wrangler JK 2-door.
Sick.
I drove that Blazer for 9 years.
Okay.
And then I had the Jeep for 2, and I was commuting 80 miles a day in it,
A Jeep.
and on 35s, stock axles.
Ow.
And from downtown Boston to Newburyport, Massachusetts, like outside the
Jeez.
city, reverse
Yeah.
commute every day. And it was the stupidest thing I ever bought. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I traded that in, and I got a Honda Accord
There you go.
2015 with the V6,
Yeah.
280
You still have it?
horsepower, and I still have it.
yeah.
Dude, shout out one of my buddy Steven.
Yeah.
That is his favorite car in the entire world. I'm not even
It's
kidding.
my
like-
favorite car in the entire world.
Like,
They're so comfy.
But I'm like talking like this dude, there's nothing that he would take over.
Oh
it.
yeah, there's a lot I would take
2015.
over it,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
no, but it's I don't. It's the best car. I haven't
Yeah.
owned a lot of cars, but it's the best car I've ever experienced and like to have to deal with on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yeah.
It's cheap to fix. It's reliable. Like stuff starts to feel weird and then it just goes away, and
Mhm.
you like you deal with it or you don't deal with it, doesn't matter. It just
Yeah.
keeps going,
Yeah.
and it's fast as shit. Like
They're quick.
they're like for a freaking full size sedan when you got to
Yeah.
get on it on the highway compared
Yeah.
to what you can get now
Yeah.
sometimes. And so I still have that. And then I had a 2-door Tahoe, and my wife and I have a TRD Pro 4Runner, but the S2000 is like my first car since the Accord.
Yeah.
That's like really mine,
Yeah.
and my first manual. I never had a manual
That's sick.
before that.
What
so
year is the 4Runner?
2020.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like those a lot.
Yeah, we got absolutely. Can I swear? Is
Yeah,
that okay? Because
dude.
I've been swearing a lot. I got absolutely butt fucked on that.
Really?
My wife and I. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh my god. We had the Tahoe and the Accord. We had one car when we
Yeah.
were living in Boston. So my wife's from here. I grew up in Massachusetts,
Okay.
and we moved here in 2020. We drove the Accord out here,
Gotcha.
and we had the Accord as our only car for a while
Okay.
because we were both working from home. And
Yeah.
then she went back to the office, and things started opening up, and it's like I'm doing other stuff, and
Mhm.
I was like, we just need something else. And plus, we snow ski and we go up to McCall a lot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the Accord just sucks getting up
Yeah.
there, front wheel drive and
Yeah.
low. And so I'm
Dude,
like,
don't tell me you bought that thing at the height of the market.
oh, I did. So yeah, like an idiot. So it was. So I got a 2-door Tahoe because I always wanted one,
Yeah.
Mm.
and it just my wife hated it, like hated it. She's like, because the thing's so tall and like fishbowl.
Yeah.
Like, and on those corners on 55, if you're in the passenger, you think you're going
oh yeah.
in the river every corner.
Yeah.
And she just was not about it. And so we had ordered a Bronco, and I waited 18 months before it came in.
Wow.
And at like month 12, we were like, let's just go get something else. And so we went to Peterson Toyota, and they had they had nothing new
Oh,
in
yeah.
2021,
No.
2022, and 2022.
Yeah.
And there was maybe 20 certified pre-owned and like used under 100,000 miles. And
Mhm.
I looked everywhere, and I'm like, there's nothing any different. And I knew my wife wasn't going to want to drive to like Salt Lake and grab something.
Yeah.
This was a keep my wife happy and like just make it work type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had like a bunch of them, and they were like 55, 55, 55, 55,
Oh,
55,
no.
55.
No.
And I looked at which one has the most shit on it
Yeah.
that somebody spent like 75 building this thing
Yeah.
that I can get for 55
Yeah.
and not totally feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
And so there
Except
was
it's worth 36.
except it's worth 36. So there was only one TRD Pro, and I'm like, okay, well that's has the highest value
Yeah.
if they're all similar price, and it had everything. Like some kid bought that thing and put 15 to 20 grand in it on day one.
Damn.
Lift, tires, roof racks, the front bumper with the winch.
Yeah.
Like
You're pointing on, you're going Forerunner,
Yes.
Forerunner,
Yes.
Forerunner,
Yeah.
Forerunner.
yeah, Widdle Wadder.
And you're like,
Widdle
that-
Wadder.
Widdle Wadder.
Yeah.
On the TRD Pro. and so I was like, and of course my wife looked at it and was like, that's the coolest one. I'm like, yep.
Yep.
And so we bought it. And yeah, I regret buying it.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like, I love that thing.
Yeah.
It is such a mixture of like, you get your Apple CarPlay and like creature comforts,
Yeah.
but drives like a 1990s SUV.
Those things are so like old.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's really, I can't think of another way to put it. Like every time I've driven like even the Tacomas or the Forerunners, it's just like I am in an early 2000s vehicle.
Yep, it's like a 70s mom with a lot of Botox.
Yeah.
There's a lot of miles there,
Yeah.
and on that chassis and that like body style, and
Yeah.
and they've just kind of dolled it up a little bit over the
Yep.
years.
Yeah, it's
But
a
it's
great vehicle. though.
They're great, and like we've had a ton of luck with it, and it's worth 45.
We'll see. It's okay. That's
42.
It's
That's
only
one of-
worth 45 because that's how much you owe on it still.
Yeah, we've got equity in it.
I was gonna say it's one of the 10 vehicles that I might be okay being upside down in. So
Yeah, because we're not going to get rid of it. And
yeah,
it was like every time I look at something else that we both like, we're going to spend 55.
Yeah.
So it's like what else am I going to do?
yeah,
And it's low mileage and great in the snow,
yeah.
and they tanked a ton like right after we bought it, like
Yeah.
10, 12 grand
Yep.
easy. But they've seemed to have leveled off
Yeah.
for now. I think I'm curious to see what happens with the new one coming out.
Yeah.
If they tank.
Well, the whole
again.
car market is like really like kind of on thin ice right
100%.
now.
It's gonna
very-
blow up.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny, right? That same exact year, at the same exact time, my mom was looking for an SUV, and because she had a red BMW,
Mhm.
and they moved to a ranch in northern Idaho. They had pretty much like I don't know, like 14-mile, like just in the forest road, and then at least mile and a half long dirt driveway.
Yeah.
And she has like always been, she was being into BMWs too. My mom was like the car person in our family. And so she's like, I can't take my car up the road. There's no way. And so I was like, let's get an SUV. So she comes and she starts looking at like a CX-5 or something.
Mhm.
I was like, Mom, you can't get a CX-5. It's like, take a look at this beautiful brand new, or not brand new, 1 year old Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I didn't know anything about Jeeps because
Oh
I'd
my
never
God.
liked them. But I was like, I love the Grand Cherokee.
Yep.
As far as driving them and just like they look super good.
So does
They
the
have a
Jeep repair shop.
sick design, yeah. And she's actually been really lucky with the repairs. But I like walked her through it, and my parents love nice stuff, so immediately they were hooked because it
Yeah.
had every option and it was specced out. It was white and
With the black rims.
yeah,
Yeah.
black rims, black
Yeah.
interior. You know the spec.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful Jeep. When it's clean, it looks so nice.
Mhm.
And they bought it, and I mean, not even a month later, those things lost like 10 grand in value. It was like
100%.
my dad, my mom was like, "It's okay, I love it. I'm never getting rid of it." My dad was just looking at me like, "You son of a bitch."
You screwed me again.
Yeah. It's funny. So they've never had like matching vehicles, but they've always had matching Harleys.
Oh,
They both
cool.
ride motorcycles, and just recently, my dad finally his 2001 F250 with like 380,000 miles.
V10, by the way.
V10 V10
Oh my
with
God, what?
300.
Those are supposedly junk motors.
Yeah.
Supposedly, he was. I mean, dude, we've literally my entire life we pulled a 37-foot fifth wheel with that thing around the country. It's got 380,000 miles. He's changed the oil twice. I mean, the thing, the thing is a tank, and it finally is starting to like lose power.
Yeah.
After 380,000 miles, it's
That's
starting to lose
crazy
power.
because I've heard terrible things about those
Me
motors
too.
for years.
Me too. When I went, he was like, "I just might put a new motor in it." I went on YouTube and I was like, "Dude, get rid of the truck now."
Yeah.
like it served its purpose.
Right.
And so now he's using it as a farm truck. But he finally had to go buy a new truck, and so he went and bought another Ford. but it's funny because now they have matching vehicles too. Because he bought a white truck with black wheels.
That's funny. Matching Harleys and trucks.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, they got a sick lineup up there.
What a power couple.
Power
yeah,
couple,
that's pretty
dude.
powerful.
So, I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
what made you guys decide to move to Boise? I know you said your wife was already here, but what was like?
My wife's from here. She was living in Boston.
Okay.
So she moved to Boston to go to school at Boston University.
Okay.
And started working for an accounting firm there, one of the big four.
Yeah.
And I went to Suffolk University, which is a small school in downtown Boston.
Okay.
And I had a friend that worked with her.
Okay.
And so I worked for a very small accounting firm, and I used to crash. She worked for KPMG. I used to crash the KPMG quarterly tax parties for the free alcohol and food. And
Badass.
yeah, well, it was great because it was like I had turned them down for an internship and a job because I didn't want to go that route. And you don't do that.
No,
Like accountants are very like, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. Nobody can understand why I would do that.
Yeah.
And so our friend would bring me to like basically talk shit about the company, be like, yeah, he turned it down.
Yeah.
And so
He's
I'd be
too
like,
good
yeah,
for
and I'm like
these guys.
chugging free beer and
Yeah.
like liquor and shit. And so my wife was at one of the parties
In the lobby, like, fuck these
yeah.
guys.
yeah. And the partners would come around and be like, who's he? What department is he in? And they would give me a department to say I was in because they knew nobody in that department.
Yeah.
So it was great. I had a whole thing and it didn't work for this company. And my wife was there one night. We met. And so we started dating and so on and so forth. So we lived in Boston. She had always been like, I'm leaving someday. Like,
Okay.
I don't want to live here forever.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me. I'm like, I don't know if I want to live somewhere else. Like most people in most areas, I feel like it's hard for them to leave, right?
Yeah.
But especially in Massachusetts, like people are like typical East Coast assholes. Like, this place is the fucking best in the world. Why the fuck would you want to live anywhere else? Like,
I tried getting out of my hometown. I lasted like 8 months.
yeah,
and I
it's
came
hard.
back.
It's hard. So it was a big thing for us over the years of like, what are we gonna do, and like, is this gonna work? And then I was like, all right, I finally was like, I don't want to lose this relationship, and I want to be with her. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, perfect, now I can work remote, and keep my job, and just we can leave. And so I at that point was done with living in a big city or bigger city, and had enough of that grind and just the go, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And so all you do when you live in downtown Boston is you go to work, you go drink, you go to work, you go drink, you go to work, you go drink, you go to work, you go drink. And it sounds great, but like after a while you're like, this is like what's going on?
Yeah.
And so we moved to Boise in 2020 to be closer to her family and like start our lives here. And so that's how I ended up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm sorry to stop the podcast, but I got to tell you about Maxwell Plumbing. They're truly the best service for all your plumbing needs, and they're doing something pretty special. If you don't live in the Idaho area and you have something that you really need help with, you can give them a call or go to their website anytime, and they will help you and walk you through the problem you're having so you can get trusted help from the professionals. If you are in the Idaho area, they have the best service around, and the prices reflect their immense integrity. So please give them a call at 208-890-9301 or go to their website, maxwellplumbingservices.com, and let them know Off the Path Podcast sent you.
Hey guys, we're here to tell you about something super exciting that we have coming up September 7th. We're going to be doing a live show at the Shark Fest Car Show. Do you want to tell them more about it?
We're going to be live.
We're going to be live.
You might have heard it's like briefly mentioned in a couple episodes.
Hinted
if
at
you've
it.
paid attention,
Yes.
I've struggled to pay attention, but if you've paid attention, we've mentioned it. So we're going to be at Track Shark. Yeah, we're going to be at Track Shark.
We're going to be at his house. We're going to be at Shark Fest Elite 2024. So first of all, make sure you go get your tickets because they're cheaper now. So if you show up at the day and you're like, I want a ticket, it's going to be more expensive.
Yep.
So make sure you go get your tickets online. You can find them Shark Fest Car Show on Instagram. You can find them at the Fote online. You can just search Shark Fest on your phone. It's super easy to find. We're going to be there in the lobby.
Yep.
We're going to have a whole setup. We're going to be doing a live show. We're going to have guests on. We're going to let you come sit down. So if you've been wanting to come on the show and talk for a little bit, this is going to be your chance.
Yeah, and you don't have to sit on like an hour like
No.
we make some of our other guests do. Like you could just hop on for 10 minutes, say what's up, get to know us, whatever. Like, there's no time crunch at all. So
You could just come on and be like, I hate you guys. I think your podcast sucks. And we'd be
Do
like,
it.
straight up, dude.
do
Real. So anyway, we'll see you guys there. Peace.
it. We clap every time. He never uses the clap to sync it.
Never use the clap.
All right, so go fuck yourself.
But
I usually
go
u-
and fuck are good words to go.
I
off
usually
of
use
for
it.
the sync.
I usually use the swear word because
Yeah.
it's funny.
And also you can
Yeah, you
pick
really
that
have
up
the
easier.
emphasis.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I usually just start the clip and I scream the F word.
And then your mom smacks you later.
Yeah, true. My parents, they are very big supporters as far as like parents.
But
go.
they don't like swearing, right?
They hate
I've heard
swearing.
this on a few episodes. I've
Yeah.
listened to a few episodes.
Yeah,
So
and so every time I listen to an episode, they're like, "You got to stop cussing." And I'm
Well,
like, it's gonna
you
happen
can-
eventually.
sorry, mom and dad, but there's a masshole on the show today, and I've got a potty mouth, and I apologize in advance.
Yeah,
It's just
I
the
mean,
nature of where I grew up,
came from-
unfortunately.
As soon as you said that you once lived in Boston, I was like, "All right,
Yeah.
we're good."
Yeah.
Are you into sports at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the only thing I know about Boston is that one clip where the kid called into a radio show.
Yeah.
It's like, "Fuck Boston College."
Or a Big Poppy literally on the field after the marathon bombing being like, this is our fucking city. Like,
Yeah.
In front of like thousands and thousands of children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder where you get it from.
Oh, good.
I grew up like in an area where I grew up in Peabody, Massachusetts, which is like 20 miles north of the city. It's like
Okay.
a cute little suburb.
Yeah.
Like kind of outside any like bigger city stuff. But my mom is from Lynn, Massachusetts, which was back in the day like a more of a blue collar city.
Okay, yeah.
And the like for example, the saying was Lynn, city of sin. You never come out the way you went in.
Okay.
So my mom's side of the family is very like heavy Boston accents and like swearing and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I just have been around it, and then living in Boston, it's just tough to not pick it up.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's fair.
Yeah.
No, it makes
Yeah.
sense to me. dude.
Yeah. So sorry, mom and dad.
Sorry.
What?
Well, I'm looking at you to say something. You know, remember this whole thing? We had this whole talk last episode. Well, not last episode.
Well, it was
An
after.
episode. It was after. Because, like, he is the quietest friend that I've ever had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And we chose to start a podcast together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I just hang out most of the time.
he just
Yeah.
hangs out, and I'm like,
I go into
I'm trying to get him to talk more.
I go into listen mode, and then
Yeah.
I'm like processing, and by that time he's already said something else, and now I'm processing that. And it's not that I can pick up everything, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I need to add.
Right.
He's like an
So I just
early
don't.
2000s Windows computer. Like, it just takes a long time. and
Vista or
you-
XP?
XP.
XP.
And you
I mean,
can't.
XP was a lot better than
Yeah.
Vista, so that's a compliment.
If the one thing's loading, you can't click on another thing because then it just
Yeah.
crashes the whole thing.
That's more you though, because anytime you text anyone, you
is
just
true.
have to stop conversation.
That
You
is
cannot
true.
do anything if you're texting
I fully
someone.
paused.
Really?
It's like-
as
Yeah.
soon as I pick up my phone, everything's just like,
pause.
Yeah.
You like
But that's better than like ignoring the person. Or do you do that?
It's
I just
basically
fully
that.
ignore
Yeah,
the
I fully
person.
ignore
Yeah,
the
I just
person.
I check out for a few seconds.
to answer
What?
it.
Yeah.
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 You should just come in with like a list of like the 5 things you want to talk about,
Yeah.
and then
We
do
tried
that
that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
You
And
tried
then they
that?
don't get
We
brought
actually did.
up.
I did.
They don't get brought up.
No, he won't say him, and then Riley will end up bringing him up.
Yeah.
Sometime.
I tried to get him to write the notes for episodes, and
Right.
he'll write the notes,
Well,
and I'll look at him, and I'm like, I'll give him like a second to like jump in,
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I'm reading the next one.
All right. So Hayden, I'll ask you a question.
sure.
There you go.
Outside of cars, what are your other interests?
You want to take a guess?
Music.
Yeah, actually.
I haven't heard that before.
I
I swear.
that wasn't where I was going.
You
with
seem
that,
like a
but
music kind of guy.
Yeah. So I
He used
played
to like
cello for
pooters.
9 years,
Nice.
and then I played upright bass for 6.
Okay.
And I enjoy listening to music.
Yeah. You seem very artistic.
Yeah, and
Like you have that aura to you that you
Interesting.
create things.
Bro has
Look
an
at this
aura.
I mean,
car.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I played music. I just recently bought a guitar to teach myself that. Taught myself bass guitar.
Do you read music to teach yourself, or do you like?
Guitar's a little different because like I can read music fine.
Yep.
But like you have the notes that are on the page and then also chords. And so like when you're learning guitar at first, it's a lot easier to go off what they call a tab. So you still work off that 5-line staff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just each spot is is basically a string,
Okay.
and then it just gives you a number of what fret you're supposed to be on. It's
Gotcha.
just a little easier, and then they'll put like a chord progression through it.
Nice.
So I haven't touched it in a while, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Did your parents like make you play music, or
They didn't make
or
me.
kind of put you into that? Are your parents artistic like that? Did they play music too? or-
So my mom started playing piano when she was 5,
Nice. Okay. Cool.
and
My mom
did
plays
it-
the piano too.
did it all through college, and then just stopped. Like
Yeah.
that was it. We have a piano in the house, and then
I occasionally hit the Jaws theme on that thing.
yeah. And then my dad, he always jokes he did piano lessons for 2 days when he was a kid. Then his piano teacher passed away, so he says that he killed his piano teacher with how bad he played.
Oh my god.
But no, he hasn't been. He's not that art. He's not music artsy. He's like drawing stuff
cool.
like that.
Yeah.
So when he went to college, he did psychology as his major and like drawing and arts that style as
Mhm.
his minor, which is a super weird combination.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Nice.
So and he's always outside building stuff because his day job, he's an IT guy, sits on a computer. All
Oh
day.
really?
Yeah. Both of my parents are in IT.
So your dad went to school for psychology, but then went into IT.
Didn't graduate.
Didn't graduate.
And now he's in IT.
In
yeah.
IT.
He started working at a hardware company and then slowly just kind of taught
Yeah.
himself stuff.
That's how it was back then. You didn't need to
Yeah,
have a
there was
degree in
no
computers.
computer science degree
Yeah.
back then. So he slowly picked it up. His company went under. One of the companies that was working through them, he basically told the owner, he was like, "You need to hire me. I know how to do what you need." And they
Mhm.
hired him, and he worked there for 15 years, helped build that company up, and then get the experience he needed. And he worked for AAA for a bit, and now he works for Equifax.
Oh, cool.
So,
Nice.
I went
There you
into interviewer mode for a second, dude.
I know,
saw you. I
yeah.
saw your gears.
Yeah.
My little, yeah, everything was.
You are a very good interviewer.
You are.
Thank
Like
you,
the
I
videos
appreciate
I've watched,
that.
I really like the way
I'm
you
very
answer.
good at editing too, so that makes my
Okay.
interview skills look a lot better.
It cuts
Yeah.
off the part where you're just sitting there
I'm like,
staring
or
at
I'm
the
like,
driver.
so yeah. So, or I'm like, ask the same question. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Trying to kickstart the question in my head.
yeah.
That's the challenge for like the way I've challenged myself. I think with wanting to be a better interviewer.
Yeah.
Is like we don't cut anything from the podcast.
Mhm.
Unless
Makes it
it's
hard.
Like, unless it's like somebody really wants you to like,
Right.
please don't leave that because I said something I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we don't cut anything. So it's like I have to.
you got to keep
really
the flow
be-
going.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard. Yeah.
yeah.
Like when you watch Joe Rogan for an hour and a half.
Yeah, dude.
And he's just like cranking, and you're like, dude, how does he do this?
It depends. Sometimes he gets high enough where
Right.
He
He's
just
just out of
flows.
he sits
control.
there and loads for a little bit.
Yes.
And I've literally, before I used to watch them on video, I would be listening and it'd just be silent for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did it stop? Like, did it pause? And then Joe's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
All right, there's one more interest I have.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Let's see if
Men.
you can guess it this time. 'Cause you got the last one real good.
Silly dudes.
Huh?
It's not silly dudes.
It's
not
men.
men. Shut up. I'm not gay.
Is it anime?
No. God,
Oh,
no.
no.
I didn't think you were into anime,
No.
but I just wanted to ask something really random.
Yeah.
Can I have a hint?
It's physical,
Physical.
but
It's
I don't like
cores.
sports.
Physical, but you don't. I mean,
Like traditional sports. Yeah,
I
I'm good
think
with that.
even I'm lost at this point. I have no idea
Pickleball?
what the fuck's going on.
Fuck no. No, martial arts.
oh really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
How did we forget about that?
I don't know, dude. He talks about it all the time.
I don't talk about it all
You
the
talk
time.
about it quite a
do,
bit.
though.
Do I?
Yeah.
Not in like a bad. It's not like
Pretty much
overbearing,
anytime
but,
we have a
like,
deep conversation, you're like, you,
Oh, well,
you tell
that's-
us how it connects to martial arts.
Yeah, that's because I've done it since I was 7.
Yeah.
So I've been in it all my life.
Like what kind
and-
of martial arts? Karate?
So I
or-
do Kaju Kempo, Tumpai.
Ooh.
So it's a
Yes, sensei.
Kaju Kempo is it's a mixed martial art, and it's kind of an acronym. So it's karate, judo, and jujitsu, kenpo, and Chinese and American
Mhm.
boxing. So kind of all ranges, all tools, all targets.
Ooh.
And then Tumpai is like one of the split branches off of it. And so Tumpai incorporates Tai Chi and Xing Yi and a lot of the internal
Ooh,
arts.
yeah, that which is very like being in touch with your body.
Yeah,
and,
and
that's
lining
cool.
yourself correctly. So
Yep.
traditionally, Kaju Kempo is a very like, you're on my fucking spot, I'm gonna get you off the spot.
Mhm.
Versus Tumpai is, you're on my spot, but you're trying to get through me for some reason. So I'm gonna deflect, move away.
Yep.
And now that is now my spot because you're way over there for some reason.
Right.
Like you move with their energy. You get around them. The whole like the big things we always trained on, because it wasn't like I didn't do tournaments. I didn't do anything like that. It was all self-defense stuff. So it was one versus many, ambush, big versus small, and weapons.
Cool.
So a lot of knife
Can you
training.
break a board?
If I held a
Yeah.
2x4 in front of you right now, is it going in half?
I'm coming up with a lot of
We
ideas.
just spawn a 2x4.
Yeah.
It depends on. I can probably like. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
We should incorporate that into your episode on my channel with the
2x4.
BMW.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
with karate.
So
or-
like they have the break boards that you
Right.
can put back together.
Yeah.
So the thickest one you can get is a 1/2 inch thick board.
Okay.
And it's like they're color coded, so it's the black one. And
Wow.
though that one is, I can do that one, but like that's I don't know.
Yeah. we'll
There's
just-
no like comparison to
We'll
it.
come up with something good.
Yeah, we can think of
We'll
something.
break that. We'll bring that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be really funny if you just fully embraced like that for the entire video, but you're in a German car.
Yeah. No,
you're,
that
you're in like the full outfit too. Like,
Yeah.
that art started in Hawaii, and it was what was it? It was a bunch of different, basically like a karate instructor and judo instructor, a bunch of these guys in all those different types who are like, how do we make it so that there's this martial art that basically combats anything and everything,
Cool.
right? And then like Jeet Kune Do, which is what Bruce Lee created. That's
Gotcha.
based off of Kaju Kembo.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's got a long history of stuff and a lot of knowledge in my head that means nothing to anyone, but it's cool.
Yeah, but that's cool.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to fill your brain with random knowledge that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
anything else, I
I'm
think.
two generations of black belts
Oh,
from Bruce Lee.
Oh, dang.
So yeah,
That's cool.
it's pretty cool.
What are your other interests?
I don't know, dude. I just kind of hang around. What are my other interests, dude?
I don't know.
Building cars, driving cars, braking cars,
Editing videos about
cleaning
cars.
cars, editing
Yeah.
videos about
Cleaning
cars.
cars.
What?
Yeah.
No, one of my huge interests is everything paranormal.
That's
Ooh.
true.
Yeah.
I'm like
That's a good one.
huge into paranormal
Yeah.
stuff. So like we've done ghost hunts.
Oh my god.
We have I have an equipment, a little
Yeah.
If you go listen
Go
to the episode,
Paranormal.
with
You
Yeah,
guys talked
fast.
about this a
Trace
bit.
and
Yeah.
Uncultured.
Yeah,
are the
both
two
with
big
Trace,
episodes.
Trace and the episode with Uncultured, we get
Yeah.
really into it with Uncultured.
Uncultured
That's
is
right.
like
You guys
super
talked
deep
about it a
into
lot.
it.
I'd listen to a little bit of that one, and
So-
you guys talked about it a lot.
Yeah, Uncultured, the like back half, I'd say, or at least the last hour,
Right.
we got really deep into paranormal.
So that's another interest. For
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then shit, I don't know. I dive really deep into like conspiracy theories. I kind of loop those in with the paranormal
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
It's all like
sure. In the same bucket.
it's
I
all like
feel
the unknown.
Right.
I'm like always been obsessed with like
Yeah.
unknown stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm recently really
What
big
about like
into
the
fire
spirit
trucks.
world?
Recently huge into fire trucks.
Fire trucks.
I work at a fire
He
truck
works
company.
At, yeah, he
Oh.
builds fire
So-
trucks. Well, now he
hell yeah.
designs fire
Yeah.
trucks.
Sick.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And it's not like city fire trucks; it's overland fire
Yeah.
trucks.
Oh hell
The
yeah.
So
off-road
the
boys.
off-road
Yeah,
stuff.
like tank ones. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
not
they're
doing
huge.
good enough because Stanley's on fire now.
I got to see one in action.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
do
your
better.
fault.
This is
You
your
didn't
fault.
design a good enough one.
It starts at the beginning, dude. You need to design a better fire
The
truck.
day
It
you
starts at
started,
the beginning.
everything
Then
else
sales
is your
needs
fault.
to sell their stuff better because they give us stupid options to design.
Damn.
That's cool though.
I used to be like, football was a big thing for me when I was
Oh,
growing
okay.
up.
Yeah.
And then sports just kind of faded like out.
Right.
I kind of wasn't
When you
interested
realize
anymore.
you're not going pro and
Well, I was
Or have
actually I was
injuries.
gonna go to college for it.
oh cool.
And senior year I got hurt, and they were just pretty much like, we don't care about you
Yeah.
anymore. So I was like, all right, well, football sucks.
I think that's the first foray in most kids' lives into you are just worthless to some people
definitely
when you don't provide whatever
It's-
they want.
It's funny. In football sometimes they call it like the Z route, or the number one
Mhm.
slot.
I remember that in Madden.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you're the go-to receiver.
Yep.
Which like everyone, when I tell them that, they're like, "You too short to be a receiver." I'm like, then why was I always catching the
I
balls?
still stand on
Pause. Anyway, I was go-to receiver, and it was like they wanted me and everything. Sometimes I would like return the ball, like anything. They always wanted me running because I was fast. And so it's funny because I got hurt, and I was like, oh, I'll just like recover and like be right back at it. And they were like immediately like, yeah, we don't give a fuck.
They've moved on.
Yeah, it's fun. It was funny. It was not the first moment that I was like, damn, I'm worthless, but it was probably the biggest moment up to that point that I was.
And
like,
not worthless. Maybe that was the wrong word for me to use, but
no,
like,
to them for sure.
But to them, it's like they just move on. Yeah. Because I played hockey growing up.
Oh, okay.
I was not good. I was not going to play in college. I was the like, I just wanted to be in the locker room. I was a locker room guy.
Yeah.
Like, just be goofy, have fun. I was a goalie.
Yeah.
And also, yes, this tall, I was a goalie. Okay. And so
to be fair, sorry, I would have gotten crushed my first day in college.
Yes.
I was still like,
unless
I
you're
knew
like
that.
Edelman, where you're like somehow make it through, or like, I mean, you got to think like guys your height. How tall are you?
5'8", 6',
5'8".
7.
Yeah, you're a little taller than me because I'm 5'6" 3/4.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
yeah.
Indeed, the
He's got it on the spot.
Yeah,
Hey,
it might be
man.
5'6" and a half. I'm getting old. It might be shrinking.
So it's hilarious because it's like, I don't know, I'm somewhere around 6'2", I think.
Yeah.
And like
We're
we
just
don't
like,
pay
oh,
attention
we're
to
above
it because
6
we don't.
foot.
Yeah, well, go get in a Miata.
Did you
and then
tell
we'll
that to
talk.
your
I
wife on
fit
the
in a
first
Miata
day?
just
Yeah.
fine.
I can fit in Mike's beat.
Yeah.
I know you can, but it's not
Comfortably.
as fun for you as it is for me. Okay.
Did you hit your wife with the 3/4 on the first date?
No, luckily she didn't ask how tall I was.
Okay.
We are the same height. But yeah, no, so you're a little bit. So like Amendola is what, 5'9", 5'10", and
Yeah.
and so is Edelman.
I like to think that I could have had a shot at doing something in college, but
Yeah, I think it's just your. I think if you're shorter or smaller
yeah,
in college sports, you have to fight
yeah,
and get a little bit more lucky than if you're
true.
naturally 6'5".
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also
Out
could have
there.
just oiled myself up and I just slide right through the defenders.
Yeah, that's so. Dude, yeah,
Slipstream.
slipstream.
But I was also really big into snowboarding and
Oh, cool.
and dirt biking.
Yeah, so you've
Those
had a
are
ton
my
of
Being
stuff.
short in
things.
those sports is helpful.
I was gonna say,
Dirt biking,
I
not as much.
snowboard, and that's and I also
Snowboarding,
dirt
yeah.
bike, so.
Snowboarding, yeah. Dirt biking, I feel like I feel like height doesn't really matter unless you're like freakishly tall. I don't know,
Why do you look at me so intently?
because you're
I'm
weird.
not
making fun of his height.
freakishly tall.
Yeah, because no, you're not freakishly tall, but you're fixating on my height a little bit with the whole football thing, and I'm bothered by it.
Oh, stop being so short.
All right.
Listen, you just got to embrace it. You got to be a short king,
Yeah.
right?
No,
See,
I only
he
got.
gets it.
It took me a while to embrace it. It took me years.
I have 10 years, and then I'll
Yeah.
join you.
Yeah,
It
it helped getting back into cars too, because I was like, yeah, screw all these tall people.
Yeah.
Like I can drive whatever I want,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's like these guys maybe not.
Yeah. I realized that I was just realizing when I was talking about interests, snowboarding is the only thing that doesn't come directly from my parents.
I can't say that about snowboarding. My dad snowboarded.
Yeah.
So.
Because my dad was pro motocross, which is why I got into dirt bikes.
Yeah.
My mom was into cars, why I got into cars. My dad played. I'm not even kidding. He played every single position in football,
Really?
and he broke the records for all of them at CUNA. Like, so he was like really into football. So he just like my parents just mapped out my life pretty much.
Yeah.
I've just been rolling with it.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah. No, it's sick. It's fun.
Do you still snowboard?
Missed like the last 2 seasons just because I've had too much going on. Well, for one of them, I was in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
no.
desert, and then just this last season, we just had too much going on. There was just too much.
I don't know. I went up.
You went up without me, but I just had too much going on.
Yeah.
But this season, I've committed to getting back on the mountain, so to speak. So
Nice.
yeah. Do you ski or snowboard?
I snow ski.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't start snow skiing until I was 26,
Okay.
27.
Yeah.
But I found it. I'm not athletically gifted.
Mm.
Like my dad is natural athlete.
Okay.
Like pick up a golf club and just smoke it all day.
Yeah.
Like just unbelievable. And he broke every record as a hockey goalie,
Mhm.
like in high school, and was gifted and could have
Yeah.
gone to this, and this.
Yeah.
He didn't party too hard. Or
Sounds a lot
whatever.
like my dad.
Yeah, but for me, like anything athletic, I have to work hard.
Mm.
But with snow skiing, it was like it just clicked because of water skiing and hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And so after like 2, days going up and skiing, I was like, okay, like this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then I just fell in love with it. Because it was just another hobby that I started to enjoy. So I've done a lot of backcountry skiing and over the last couple of years.
Do you enjoy the snow out here more than back east?
Oh yeah, yeah. I enjoy a lot of things out here better than back east.
Yeah.
The snow in Idaho in particular is phenomenal. And more consistent.
Yeah.
Like in New England, you understand it's like you might get 3 feet of snow, but then the next week it's 50, and it's like half it or all of it melts.
So it's April here.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like you could be in the dead of January, and it's like you get a nor'easter, and it's this heavy, wet, a foot, 2 feet of snow, 8 inches of snow, and then it's like goes up to 40 or 50 for a day, and then it melts a little bit, and then it just deep freezes. And so skiing out there is like you might as well just be ice skating a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And people will like love skiing out there, and that's fine. But like you're just stubborn or don't come out here enough to understand the snow you get is just.
I've seen videos of dudes skiing like anywhere on like the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, do you guys enjoy this? Like it's just ice. They're just kind of skating along the top of ice.
And it's to them it's the best. And they come out, the snow out there is like I'll go back and home or talk to people and they'll be like, man, the snow out west is really great, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's way better than here. And they're like, oh, well, there's nothing like skiing in Vermont. I'm like, what? Like, yes, there is. It's 10 times better somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've skied at Killington in Vermont, and let me tell you, like, I'll take Bogus and Brundage on April 15th over Killington, Vermont on February 20th. It's just because it's so inconsistent.
Yeah.
You might get a day at Killington that's killer.
Yeah.
But I can go up to Brundage on any day of the week most of the year, like winter, and I'm going to get a good day of skiing, either groomers or powder or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do snow ski, and I've definitely, this past year was a tough year for me. I only got like 4 days, 5 days in.
Yeah.
I usually, the last 3 years I've averaged like 25 to 30 every winter. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Shit. When I was in high school, I had a 4-day school schedule.
Yeah.
So I literally every single Friday, as long as Bogus was open, I was up there every single Friday.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was
Especially on a Friday too, because not many people up there.
It was a good time, and it was fun. I had a few buddies that had the same schedule, so we'd all go up together and just not hit a single trail the whole day. I mean, we would try our best to stay in the trees and go. Yeah. I mean, we've ended up hiking a couple times, fully lost, but it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
That's cool. Yeah. The company I work for, it's based out of Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
So everyone is big skiers and snowboarders. And so like one of the prerequisites of working for that company is like you have to take ski days. Ski days off in the wintertime.
That's
They
sick.
basically like want you to.
Yeah.
And so I am pretty like risk adverse a lot of the time when it comes to skiing or mountain biking or whatever, and unless it's a water sport, then I'm willing to do anything. But with them, I've really branched out just because those guys push it hard in Colorado.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is I can ski with them. Like if we both get to the same spot and I haven't exerted any energy and ski down, I can keep up.
Okay.
And I'll be right there with them. But if we've hiked all day, they're going to be miles. Because they're at, all of them live at like 8,000 feet in the like small mountain towns, and they're climbing the 12,000 feet every other weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, me going to the fridge is enough for a workout.
All right.
My office is in a basement, and going up the stairs to the fridge is the extent of my exertion some days. So it's like it's just a lot. They're much better mountaineers and like climbers and stuff like that than I am. But I wouldn't say necessarily better skiers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let him know you said that.
Dude, yeah. Well, actually, no, you let him know.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let him know.
Yeah. I like talking trash with them.
There you
anyways.
So I started skiing first, and then I moved to snowboarding.
You switched to snowboarding?
Yeah.
Me too.
I could never do one board things. I always needed both my... I don't know what that is I needed both my feet free. I think...
I'm the exact opposite. If my feet are separate,
man.
I freak.
See, I feel like I can tuck or I can, well, so all my experiences are in water sports. So it's like water skiing, barefoot water skiing, and wakeboarding.
Yeah.
And with water skiing and barefoot water skiing, I can take a crash that's going to be really bad and turn it into like protecting myself.
Okay.
Whereas on a wakeboard, you just absolutely obliterate.
Yeah.
And it's like the worst
Simply
feeling.
don't crash.
What's that?
Simply don't crash.
Yeah, simply don't crash.
Yeah.
Right. So except when you're, trying to do cool shit, man. You
Yeah.
know?
You
We
crash.
can't all be tall and cute, We got to be
Whoa.
short kings, all right? You're 18, right?
You
No,
caught
I'm just kidding.
caught a stray there.
I'm just kidding.
Tyler also likes silly dudes.
Yeah, silly dudes.
A lot of
Yeah,
silly
I've heard
dudes
about
around
that.
here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of silly guys.
So I've always just struggled with like having 2 feet locked in, but I
Gotcha.
can see that like
I freak
you
out.
feel more secure.
I saw it it wasn't like a horror movie. It was just like a really graphic movie, and this skier like literally like got split down the middle because like
fuck,
his
yeah.
feet went different way.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I was like, I literally that weekend I told my mom next season I'm gonna snowboard instead of ski, and they're both skiers. They were like, "How could you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't care.
I want to be a knuckle dragger.
Comedy is hard rock." and so I switched to snowboard, and I never looked back. I've loved snowboarding. It's so fun.
It's cool. I
Yeah.
definitely want to try it someday.
Yeah. My favorite part is seeing like new snowboarders
Mm-hmm.
because they just stop falling their ass.
Yes.
Stop falling their ass. Stop falling their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend that owns a couple ski shops back east, and he snowboards and skis,
Mhm.
both quite a bit. And I think he told me it was like with skiing, your learning curve is like really low in the beginning, and then it gets extremely hard as you want to
Yeah.
do
Yep.
harder things. Whereas with snowboarding, your learning curve it's extremely hard in the beginning, and then it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
as
Oh,
you
yeah.
get into
You get
it.
Definitely.
comfortable on it, and
Right.
you're like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
As soon as I got my balance figured out,
Mm-hmm.
it was like I felt invincible, and I
That's
would
cool.
I would go
Yeah.
hit the face, I would go hit rocks and cliffs, I would go hit jumps.
Nice.
It's like just figuring out the balance, and you're pretty much kind of set
Yeah.
from there.
And you don't have to deal with like separate sets of skis for different
There's no
terrains
yard
and
There's
shit.
no
Sales,
yard
no-
selling.
Yeah, there's no
you
yard
are attached
selling.
to that board. You're
yeah.
going with it.
You're going with it.
Yeah.
yeah. I always love seeing the guys like when I'm on the lift, and like, the guys that will be in like the powder under the lift, and they like
Yeah.
catch it like a front edge, and they go over, but they tuck so well and just come out of it
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
perfectly. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I used to love this specifically at Part on Bogus, like the bowl area.
Mhm.
They've changed a bit since I was last up there, but
Yeah.
the bowl area used to have a pretty sharp drop off right under that
Mhm.
main chairlift that
Okay.
goes up. And I used to love just ripping through there and jumping, and they're like, holy shit, he's going to die, and then landing it and just then going to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I used to do that all the time. I'd jump, I'd do a grab, I'd like do this, and I'm like, I'm the man.
Yeah.
And then there was one time, dude, I was like cooking it a little extra,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like tons of people watching. The chairs are packed, and they're all watching me because I'm headed straight for this edge at like Mach 10, and I jump and I hit a tail grab, and I'm like, I'm the coolest thing on earth. And as soon as I like hit the ground, I just caught a front edge. I literally ragdolled, just like, bam, and then I just slid on my face down the rest of the mountain. And I was just like, I think it's time to leave. I think
Yeah.
I can never see any of those
I
people
can't
again.
go.
I'm getting new gear. I'm getting like new snowboard.
different helmet. Everything.
I had a
Yeah.
red jacket. I was like, that's
I'm
gone.
gonna get purple.
Yeah.
There's that big rock at Brundage on the
Yeah.
Bluebird.
Yeah.
And I've heard of people backflipping off of that
Oh yeah.
at the base there.
Have
And-
you played around with the face at Bogus at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I played around with the face. I've gone over to what's that other mountain? Is that Sargent? That's the second.
Yeah.
That if you
yeah.
take the Cat Track Trail, I've gone down in
Yeah.
there. But I do a lot over by the creek too, on the other side
Okay.
of Payette Lake,
Yeah.
because there's the snow over there is a lot different than Brundage
Yeah.
side too. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like just those mountains in there, the way the snow comes in, or
Yeah.
the wind or moisture
Mhm.
level or what. But
At Bogus, I don't know if you've ever found this spot. There's a little known spot it's off the backside.
is it by
And
like Moores Mountain, that
kind
that
of.
way.
It's kind of like off the backside, and you come around to this chair
Mm.
that takes you back to like the peak of the
Oh,
front side.
Yeah, it's like yes,
Superior?
yeah. I know where the
There's
chair is.
There's an off trail drop.
Oh, interesting.
If you go down into the trees, there's this part where I don't know, it's a little tiny creek runs through.
Yeah.
And so the creek kind of carves out, its little thing, but it's just snow. And if you don't know where you're going,
Yep.
And you're just cruising along with your buddies, and you happen to just full send it off a at least 15-foot drop,
Right.
into like 4 foot of powder that's never been touched. It's a really fun time. It's a really great time. Yeah.
How do you get out of there? Do you have to hike out
Carefully.
carefully?
Yeah. You can actually, if you survive the fall,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually carry your momentum.
Okay.
So the first time I had to unstrap and hike a little bit.
Yep.
But now that like I know it's there, me and a couple buddies have hit it going.
Yeah.
And if you make the landing, then it kind of carries over a hump, and then you can keep going
Gotcha.
down. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little sick spot. It's
Yeah.
really cool. I love just finding little spots like that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. I ski mostly Brundage.
Okay.
I'm very lucky to be able to go up there and ski that a lot.
Yeah.
I try to find spots up there.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, my in-laws have a cabin up that way,
Okay.
and so all my wife's family and her grew up skiing up there,
Oh, okay.
and so he knows most of the little spots. But
Mhm.
even now, like him and I will go find new spots and stuff. And I just always bring my skins with me. I wear my powder
Yeah.
skis. Like I'll even ski groomers in my powder
Really?
skis. Yeah, because
Oh.
it's like unless I'm trying to really haul ass.
Yeah.
Like and I'm just trying to carve them up. Like I can do what I want to do on a day
Yeah.
because chances are I'd rather go find some like powder,
Yeah.
mess around it on the
Absolutely.
side.
Yeah.
So I try to at least like even just in my jacket throw my skins in there so that
Yeah.
way if I get stuck somewhere I'm not like boot packing it. I can at least
Yeah.
like just skin my way out easily.
I've
but
pretty much with boards, I've like always exclusively ridden like boards catered towards powder.
okay. Do
Yeah. I've pretty much never.
you have any split boards?
No.
Those are cool.
Those are.
My
it-
coworker.
Still, I can't do it. I can't. It has to be
You're
one
afraid
solid
it's gonna
piece.
come apart?
Yeah.
So my coworker, he grew up in Alaska,
Oh yeah.
and so he's buddies with a lot of guys that are pro or semi-pro.
Mhm.
But he rides split boards, and then he'll go up in like Idaho City
Yep.
and like up in those mountains and
Yeah.
go hike for half the day,
Yep.
and then just go hit the hill on the way down on his board, and it's like no one's up there because it's just a mountain. There's
Right.
no lodge. There's nothing.
Yep.
So, but yeah, he hits split board. He uses split boards all
I have
the
a
time.
coworker that does that too, and
Mhm.
he's like really well known in the community. He's a lot older. He's like 38 or 39,
Oh, okay.
and he like has done some crazy ski like snowboarding
Really?
and hiking and mountaineering. And
Yeah.
when we got to the top of one mountain, we were skiing out in Colorado. He's like, I've done that peak, that peak, that peak, that peak, that peak, that peak, that peak. And I'm looking at them, and
Jeez.
they're like this vertical rock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you hiked it in the summer? And he's like, no, I hiked it in the winter, and then I snowboarded down it. And I'm like, you're like, that's wild.
My older brother Jordan,
Hmm.
he's a welding professor in California,
That's
and
sick.
he has
That's a great job, welding
yeah.
professor.
and he has his own welding shop,
Nice.
and he's at Cal State,
Okay.
and he in his off time when school's not in, he goes and snowboards all over the world.
That's awesome.
Like he just
Yeah.
finds a new place in the world that he hasn't snowboarded, and he goes and does it.
Mhm.
And he's the same way. He'll just pretty much hike up anything. Like nothing is not a trail
Right.
to him.
right.
He'll just if it's out of reach by chair, he'll go and just hike it. He's done the helicopter thing where you drop out of
Yeah.
a helicopter and
Heli
just start
ski or
going.
heli board.
Yeah. Like he is insane with snowboarding. And he came to Bogus one time. I'm like, Bogus is sick.
Yeah.
And he came to Bogus. I'm like, let's do the face. Let's do this. He was like bored the whole time I was touring him around.
Guys like that just have a different level of let's just go explore, and if I get stuck or hurt or whatever, I'll figure it out. Like just
Yeah.
have this sense of I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't have that. Like I'm dying, I can't breathe. I want to be on my couch.
yeah.
I want a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Don't I get pumped up when I'm doing it.
Right.
And I fool myself sometimes into thinking like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then I get into a sketchy situation, or like you get a little close to a tree,
Right.
and your whole body like has a nerve
Yes.
tingle, and you're just like, maybe I should dial it back a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It only gets worse as you get older too.
Oh,
by the
okay.
way.
It's funny too because it's like you'll be like, I don't want to go out, I don't want to do this, and then, like I'll drag you out to go do it, and
Yeah.
then we get to it, and I'm like, why did I think this was a good idea? And you're like, let's go. And like,
That is true.
flip flops
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Once we're in the situation,
You
he's
gotta
like,
switch
I'm
it.
ready.
you commit. To
Yeah.
it.
I commit, and then he's like, wait, this is a bad idea, and I'm like, too late now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
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 I think I I myself don't push it, but if I have the right people I know that I trust to push the situation in a way where they know I can handle it, and they're not putting us in a place where I'm gonna die, then I'm okay with it. It's just I always need somebody that's more skilled with me in those like with snowboard, snow skiing, or any type of like outdoor activity, to like for me to push it a little bit harder. And I don't know if that's like competitiveness or just like a sense of like confidence of like if this person's doing it and they think I can do it.
Follow car.
Yeah.
When you're following someone up bogus, you feel a lot more confident versus if you're the first person going up, you're like, how hard am I pushing it? And
can I make this corner at this speed?
Yeah. Am I going to slow people down?
I'm going off the side.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
That's
we almost had that moment with Randall. We were in a Veloster and cooking down the hill.
I heard about
you heard
that.
about
I watched
this?
that. Yeah. Listen to that one.
We were cooking down the hill and we went into the oncoming lane and very close to the guardrail, allegedly.
I'll tell you what, man. Those things are wild.
They're wild cars.
I'm a big Kona guy.
He's a big Kona
guy.
When you said that on that, I was like, somebody finally said it. And I'll tell
Wheels,
you why.
Bag it. Coolest.
I'm not bagging shit, man.
Okay.
I'm driving that thing hard.
You lost me.
Okay.
No.
I would bag it. I would throw it. I would just want to keep some of
the
this drive.
immediate flip flop. You lost.
Yeah,
I would
mean,
bag
like,
it.
Well, like if it didn't lose the drivability, like
Sure. Yeah.
I
You
would
can
wanna
tune
keep it.
bags.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
make. Yeah. So I had never heard of a Kona. I'm sorry. I had heard of it, but I'm like, whatever. It's just another stupid Hyundai. And my wife and I's mini moon on the Oregon coast. The rental car was a Kona, and it was just a base model Kona. And I'm on the Oregon coast, like hammering this thing through corners and like redlining the shit out of it. And the thing's like just screaming at me, and I was like, oh, this thing takes a corner for a base model Hyundai, like 12 grand out of the box or whatever it is, 15, and no options, nothing. I'm like, this thing is sticking to corners surprisingly well. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Kona N and like the kind of like the specs on it, and I was like, that thing's freaking sick.
Yeah.
Like it is a fun little car.
You put the manual in it from the Veloster.
Yep.
And then you put on wheels.
Yeah.
And you lower it, and it's
all wheel drive, right?
It's the coolest mom car, sports car,
Rally
crossover
car
thing.
Yeah.
It's stupid, and I love it.
Yeah.
So
No, it's totally stupid.
I've always been like a big time Hyundai shit talker, and I just kind of hate them.
Yeah.
And I even included the Veloster in. And it's funny because like anytime I would be like, well, Hyundai suck, people's natural response is to be like, well, except the Veloster in, of course. And I'm like, especially the Veloster in.
Yeah.
I was just always an asshole. And Randall, when he came to town, well, you heard it on the podcast.
I did,
so like,
yeah.
when he came to town and I rode in that thing, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The way that thing rotates is like nothing I've experienced in a hatchback ever before.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was insane.
It's definitely not in my top like 50 cars to buy.
No,
but
yeah.
it's still a cool. I don't know.
Maybe 51 though. Like
think
maybe after we get to the
right.
50 cars,
Yeah.
it's like all right.
Yeah, I'll try a Veloster N or a Kona. Like screw it.
Yeah.
The brand new 2025 Konas start at $24,500.
It's pretty affordable.
So to me, that's affordable based on where cars are at now.
I was about to say,
pretty-
in comparison to what probably 3,
Can you get those in a
4 years
stick?
ago?
No.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, you
That's the
lost
hard
me.
part.
Yeah, you can't get anything. It's like less and less every.
And for 24
BMW
grand, instead of buying a Kona N or a base model Kona,
You can buy a
can get-
C5Z06 manual. Suck my dick.
Yeah.
no,
America!
You could buy an M235i.
Brother.
Oh, an M235, I guess.
Yeah. You get off on
You
that.
could also buy a really clean S2000 for 24 grand.
Well,
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
you can buy
You can, for 24, dude. One just went on Bring a Trailer with 80,000 miles for 24.5.
There you go.
Apparently you can buy 12 of those things.
So many N54 cars, and none of them would run, but you'd have a
Yeah.
lot of them.
I mean, probably 2 of them.
I had an N54
Maybe.
on my channel. It was like one of the first
Really?
cars I had. Yeah,
Oh.
it was a BMW.
Whose
I
was
think, back east, a friend of a friend he had an M235,
oh,
and he
M-
blew.
M235 is N55.
yeah.
So it's the single turbo from factory.
Single
Yeah.
turbo,
Versus the N54 is
This
a twin
N54
turbo.
is a twin turbo.
No,
factory.
right? No, I'm sorry. The N54 was a 5 Series.
Oh,
okay.
But
okay.
he also had an M235.
Gotcha.
The new-
Okay.
yes, sorry. I
No,
should
you're
clarified that. And the M235 was down. He had he blew the clutch or something. Or
Wow.
he was just being an idiot with it. And
Yeah.
now he blew the motor.
Nice.
So I still haven't filmed that car.
Yeah.
But he had an N54 that he had souped up, new turbos and tune, and it was the all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It was like X-Drive or whatever.
Yeah.
And that thing was I was like, oh shit, that's
Hopefully-
a fun car.
Hopefully, when I have this thing where I want it next year, you'll want to do a video on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's gonna be nuts.
I'll do a
It's
video on
gonna
that.
be.
Yeah,
It's gonna be very, very nuts.
100%. That'd be fun.
My goal is just kind of make people shit their pants because a lot of these cars get so much hate, and a lot of people build them, in my opinion, the wrong way, where they pop like crazy, they're obnoxious, or they don't build them the right way. They just shove power at them until the motor blows.
Right.
So my whole goal with that thing is to build it the right way, and then just make people like the car again.
Mhm.
Give people rides and make people enjoy the car again.
Just don't drive it like every other BMW
Too late.
Dude,
guy.
I don't even want to drive with other BMWs. This is the only other BMW we'll ever see that car
Listen,
with.
I've met a lot of BMW people that are really great, and my channel is about bringing community together and positive and being authentic and
Yeah.
genuine. But I have also never met a crazier group of motherfuckers
Yeah, it's true.
ever.
Yeah, it's true.
Those guys drive over the edge.
Yeah,
a
when I
lot
had
of the
my
time.
when I had my silver one, there was a snowy day one time, and we went out in the snow, and we were on the street because
Yeah.
there was nobody out on the roads because they were all scared because it was spontaneous, 4 inches, 5 inches. We were out on the street for 3 hours drifting just through the roads. Man, I was
Dude.
and I'm talking through the intersection into oncoming back. I didn't give
Yeah.
a fuck where the lanes were. We were just going all over. We came
Doesn't
across
surprise me.
came across 2 cops, and I was with this dude who's not equally. He's much more of a degenerate than I am.
That
And-
says a lot.
Yeah, and well, his name has 3 letters in it. So,
And okay.
and he was in front of me, and we came to this intersection. There's 2 cops helping a car in a ditch, and I'm like, okay, we're probably chilling out. I hear him clutch kick, what? And he slides the corner around the cops sitting there. The cops are looking. Then they look at me like, is he gonna do it too? And I'm like, I'm not a bitch. So
Yeah.
And I go, "Whoa." I was auto, so I was just like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And I slide around the corner, and then we just take off down the road, kind of sliding back and forth. And I feel like they were at least they know how to drive on snow.
Or just didn't have the energy to get out of the
Yeah.
ditch and deal
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I got I helped out with a birthday cruise, just filming some footage for something, and
Yeah.
there was 7 BMW guys there,
Oh,
and
God.
all very nice guys.
Yeah.
Had a great time meeting them, and I was like, hey, if you want some rollers of the car, please just drive slow,
Yeah.
past the car or around the car that I'm in. And the first intersection was a U-turn, and each one of them had to outdo the other one of how sideways can I get to do the U-turn,
Yeah.
and then how hard can I pull
Yeah.
down this road. And so here I am in the back of an X3M that's trying to catch up at 100 miles an hour,
Jeez.
and I'm like, I'm gonna die today.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so it's just was my first experience into, my second experience into because that guy with the 5 Series I did, that
Yeah.
N54, he was pushing it.
There's something Hayden can attest to this because he drove my silver car. There
get
was
an
multiple
itch.
days.
Yeah,
You when you get in a turbo BMW,
Mm-hmm.
something switches.
Yep.
No matter who you are, something
You just wanna be
switches,
bad.
and you're just like,
Yeah, you want to be a bad
I want to be a
boy.
menace.
The silver car, I drove it to work the day I had it, and random G37 just decided that he was going to race me. He was
Well,
like,
people also taunt the
Wrong
shit
idea.
out of BMW cars,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, buddy, whatever.
Yeah.
And so he I hear him romp on it,
Mm-hmm.
and he's auto or whatever, and so it's you just hear "Wah," and he's not going anywhere because he hasn't really floored it yet.
Yeah.
His car's just downshifted. I was just cruising in 6th. I just go into 5th and just full foot to the floor
Yep.
and just bus length past him in the
Yeah.
BMW.
Yeah.
And then I'm look down and I'm like, I'm doing way too much
Right.
over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Slow down. But
Yeah.
it's just stupid amount of power that's just there
Mm-hmm.
at all times.
And you're in a luxury car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you're
it's
just
comfy
It's just
and it's
nuts.
nice.
It
It's
doesn't
They're
feel
made to
like you're going that
cruise.
fast when you're in them.
Yeah.
They ride so smooth, especially the E90s.
Mm-hmm.
The E90s, as much of a pain as they are to work on,
Yeah.
they have the best, I think, chassis science of any car
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever driven. Because the rear has 10 control arms, 5 each side.
That's crazy.
You know how much of a bitch that is to work on?
Yeah, I'm
we
sure that's
found out
awful.
several times.
Yeah.
But But yeah, 10 control arms in the rear. I mean, that thing is so balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It won't. Every time, like the silver one was at different power levels, and no matter what power level it was at, with no matter what tires,
Yeah.
you would floor it, and it would spin, and it would go like this, and then it would just lock there.
Yep.
It would not let it spin out, and,
Yeah.
you know, unless it was snowy on the ground and I'm forcing it to.
Right. Right.
But I love the chassis. I love the way that the power delivers,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that when you're in the interior and you're just cruising under boost, you're in like a
Yeah.
nice luxury
Yeah,
car.
you're in a nice car.
You're just enjoying yourself.
Yep. That's quiet.
And then you put it in sport mode and you
Yeah.
become a menace again.
Yeah. And the little chimes come on when everything breaks every
Yeah,
other day.
exactly. Yeah.
Or it's just cold out.
Yeah, or it's just cold out.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's gotten me so many times. The silver one used to give me all the time. I'd be driving, I'd do a pull,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "Ding," and I'm like, oh, it's 37
Yeah.
degrees.
It's under 45.
Yeah.
No pulls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Since we're back on cars, though, there's a question that I've been wanting to ask you kind of the whole episode. A lot of like car reviewers.
Mhm.
Was that what you say you are? You say you're a car
No,
reviewer?
I would say I'm a interviewer of car owners
Okay.
versus a car reviewer.
That makes more sense than for what
Yeah.
you do. Because I was going to say, a lot of people kind of in your space, at least, for
Right.
like filming car stuff,
Yep.
they want to drive the car.
Right.
They all
I
want to
don't
drive,
wanna
the,
drive
car. And so I was going to ask, why is that? Why, like,
Okay, so
first of all, how did you come up with the format that you do?
Yes.
And then why is the reasoning behind it?
I'm gonna make you drive my car when
That's
we
fine.
do mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. So first of all, I came up with it. Again, like I mentioned, like my job does not bring me any joy from like
Yeah.
a soul standpoint.
Yeah.
And I have a great team I work with and great coworkers, and I do like my job, and it's a great
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
But I just felt like something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also felt like something was missing around a passion of mine, which is cars.
Okay.
And so I moved to Boise. When I was in Boston, I wasn't involved in cars at all. I was driving
Yeah.
my Accord,
Yeah.
and I was living downtown Boston. I was working crazy hours trying to get my life
Yeah.
in a spot where I wanted to be career-wise. And so I didn't have like any hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I moved to Idaho, I would still I still have a lot of friends in the car community. So
Yeah.
like the Purple Hellcat I did has been a friend I've known since I was a kid,
Mhm.
that we used to go to car stuff all the time together. So he would
Gotcha.
still hit me up. We'd go to we'd go to car shows or do car stuff together, and
Yeah.
I'd hang out. But when I moved here, I knew no one in the car community. And I was like, I want to get back into cars. But I don't want to spend the amount of money it would cost me to buy a car.
Yeah.
And then I started something that cost just as much money to buy a car, and then I
Yeah.
still bought the car anyway. So
There you go. You did it the correct way.
I did it, yeah, yeah. So I was like, I want to do something that would also be a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anything that was creative, and I'm like, I don't want to draw, I don't want to take pictures, which is fine and do, and like do those things, and it just
Yeah.
wasn't. I want to do something around like creating, picture boy.
He's not paying
we
attention
all
anymore.
were photographers at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I've had a camera and taken pictures before too, but it just wasn't like didn't pique my interest.
Yeah.
I really enjoy like talking to people and learning about them or
Mhm.
their car, and like the creativity around like conversation.
Yeah.
And then also like I thought, videography and editing would be kind of cool to learn.
Yeah.
And so I started to kind of think about that. I'm like, well, there's like Doug DeMuro who does regular car reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, like guys like Tyler Hoover that just buy hoopties and
Yeah.
like fix them up, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like love that style content, and like kind of similar to like what Derek's trying to do with
Yeah.
Subarus and stuff. And I love comedians in cars getting coffee, and I love
Yeah.
that style, and I love Jay Leno's Garage.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was there was a gap in, there's no one just interviewing everyday people that have cool shit
Yeah.
and hearing why they have cool shit.
Yeah.
And
True.
I felt so unrelated to like comedians in cars or like Jay Leno's Garage. Like I can't relate to that, or even Tyler
Mhm.
Hoover.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to own 50 cars,
Mhm.
or I'm not going to own like a Lamborghini, maybe in my lifetime. Might not
Yeah.
happen, or at least right now.
I don't know.
Whereas like
Gallardos are getting pretty cheap.
Gallardos are getting cheap. Whereas
Don't smile too much at that. You're gonna scare your wife.
I know. No, I can't buy anything for a while. The point was like I could find other stuff that was, or people that are, hey, you're a welder, or you're a teacher, or
Yeah.
you're a you're an IT,
Yeah.
or you're like Rob with the Ferrari, like was in the Marines and then worked for Google and worked his way up through Google and
Yeah.
became like a software engineer and did really well from. Like that's obtainable
Yeah.
for a 13-year-old or
Yeah.
16-year-old.
All right.
Whoa.
Didn't you say I was pretty cute earlier?
Careful what age you call him.
yeah, 18.
Pause.
19. How old are you? 19?
19.
Yeah.
Like those are things like, oh, I'm interested in what he does for a job.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in cars. Like, oh my God, that's something I can. So that was like the
You're like
idea.
You're the long form. What do you do for a living?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, so I kind of meshed those together, and then I wanted it to be something where I always look at everything like a business. Like, could this be self-sustaining someday
Yeah.
where I could step away from everything else I do and just do this?
Yeah.
Like, if it was successful, and if it's not, it was a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And so that was like the initial target was like, I want to interview people. When I started interviewing, I could drive a stick, but like barely. Like, I've driven a manual probably 6 times before I owned my S2000.
Gotcha.
And I also just have not driven a lot of cool cars in my life. I've always driven, like, you want to give me a freaking Jeep Wrangler on 37s, I'll beat the shit out of that thing all day because like I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to the whole thing with the channel, because like even you'll notice in the interviews, I don't put a lot in there about talking about my stuff or myself a lot of the time. I try to focus it more on the person, and that's just because I wanted it to be more about them than me. And so like if I'm driving the car, then I'm like now shifting the focus to me more and making it more about me. And also just the fear of like, I don't want to screw this thing up, like on camera. Like I don't want to ruin this car or like just grenade the motor or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've driven it.
I think if you were to screw it up, on camera is the perfect moment.
It is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But I've been doing, now that I own the S2000 and I've been getting really comfortable driving stick more, like I did an episode with a 69 Camaro resto mod last week, and he was like, you want to drive it? I'm like, yeah. And like I have no problem getting behind the wheel of it if they ask.
Yeah.
Some people I've like done episodes with don't offer it, and I don't ask.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want me to drive it, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I've definitely gotten more comfortable with it. Like I drove Chente Zio.
Yeah.
That thing
Zio
is so
6.
fun.
That thing's sweet. I drove Saya, Derek's car.
Yeah.
And so I've driven a couple here and there, but it's also really hard to focus on cameras, audio, and everything else while you're driving.
Yeah.
And so it allows me to be consistent when I'm in the passenger seat. Like there's a lot of times where a battery will die and I'm like, while they're driving and we don't miss a beat and boom, done. Whereas like if I'm driving, we have to stop.
Yeah.
We have to pull over somewhere. Like I'm a one-man show when we're out on the road. So it's like if I'm in the passenger seat, they can focus on driving and I can focus on everything else.
I mean, that's exactly why we have him.
Yeah.
It's because like it's so hard for like one of us to constantly be like checking times, checking camera and all this. Because you want to be engaged with your guest.
Right.
You don't want to be constantly like, what's going on over there?
So if I add driving to that, it adds another layer of complexity. And then also now I'm focused on the road versus like being able to think of the questions or the flow of the conversation or like, hey, like, what other stuff have I not mentioned that I wanted to talk about? Or because a lot of the time it takes me 20 minutes to set up the car for an interview. And it's really hard to not sit there and not start talking about themselves or ourselves or the car. And then it's like we get into the conversation and they go over the same section and miss 3 parts they brought up before. And now I have to make sure I recall and bring that back somewhere in the interview, right? So that's why I kind of have. That's why originally I strayed away from driving.
Gotcha.
And I think I still will continue to not drive cars that often or make it a big part of the interview. Maybe like I'll take it for a rip. But yeah, that's the premise of it.
I like that. It makes sense. I like the niche that you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And that's why I was kind of like, that's why I was fascinated about it enough to ask a question. Because I was like, man, everybody wants to drive the cars. It's like the only guy that just doesn't want to get in the driver's seat.
I've always loved just going for a ride.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I just loved being in the car.
Yeah.
And so it's very much like, I just like being in the car.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to worry about a deer or
do you ever
or whatever
get nervous every time you do that? You're like putting all your trust in like their ability to drive the car, especially like Rob's video. He's ripping on the Ferrari.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
I'm very it changes with time.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I didn't think anybody would ever drive like that with me in the car. Like not Rob, but other
Then you met
people.
Derek.
And I met Derek. Yeah. The BMW guy in Massachusetts. When I drove with him, I was like, oh, people might like kill me.
Well, the cameras are on, dude.
And
yeah,
like they're showing off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So that's when I first thought about it, and it depends on the person. So like with Derek, it's like I know he's gonna be pretty safe.
Yeah.
Right. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
With Rob, I didn't know Rob well. I trusted Rob from like what I had gotten to know about him, but I trusted the car more in that scenario
Very
because
smart.
I knew
Cars are
that
very
car
smart.
could
Yeah.
do so much.
Yeah.
And I will just say, while we were in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
we hit a speed on this straight,
Yeah. Allegedly.
allegedly hit a speed on the straight that I don't think I'll ever see again.
Mm.
And then hit 40 miles an hour at the corner when he locked up the brakes in maybe a millisecond, it felt
Wow.
like.
Jeez.
If we cut it out, can I ask what the speed was?
I'll tell you
Okay.
after. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. And we can even go like when we do your episode, and we
Yeah.
do your episode, I'll show you. I show everyone the spot,
Really?
and that car felt like it had 20% more,
Wow.
and I was like, it's sending shivers down my spine now because it was wild. But
Yeah.
in that car, I felt totally fine.
Yeah.
Like it was more of like this is a beautiful experience of how is this car doing this versus like
Yeah.
Rob, you're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And so that was different. And in that scenario, it was unexpected. Like I didn't realize we were going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When I did Tyler's M4 S58 boy on
Yeah.
Instagram, that one I was actually scared.
I could
Like
tell.
I
could tell.
I'm
Yeah.
like I was not ready for that and actually scared. And so that's on. I believe that's on me. I trusted him more than
yeah.
I trusted that car.
Yeah.
But like now when I do an episode, I'm like, whatever you do with yourself in this car,
Yeah.
you do 50% with me in the car.
Yeah.
And if
Dude,
you want to push it,
God forbid you ever review a Mustang.
yeah, exactly. Luckily the one Hellcat I did, the guy is like the most mellow driver ever. He
There
doesn't
you
push
go.
it unless he really is
Yeah.
like by himself. But now I've kind of structured the pre-interview stuff where I'm like, well, let's do a poll or let's take some cool corners.
Yeah.
But we're going to put somebody out there that can tell us if somebody's coming.
Mhm.
Because now I have to worry about liability. Like,
Yeah.
it's my channel and stuff,
Yep,
too.
yep.
And also, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And so I kind of am like, you need to take it easy. And now I'm getting better at recognizing personalities of like, do not do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Or I'm not even going to film with that person because I don't
Yeah.
want to go through that.
Yeah.
And what I realized is a lot of the time when I do those episodes and put like that clip in the beginning, where that's the Instagram clip, is because I
Yeah.
forgot to do an intro.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Like, yeah, fudge. So
Just gonna
it's-
leave that in
yeah.
every time.
Yeah, go ahead. Just have a bunch of clips of me saying fudge.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
But so that's like
Make a
why.
compilation.
Yeah. There you go.
But that's why I have been putting. I usually put those in as like a
Yeah.
funny moment or whatever because I kept forgetting to do intros.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like really good about. I do my intro, I do my outro,
Yeah.
and so there'll be less of that. There'll still be funny moments or cool like driving
Yeah.
moments, like the AE86 Corolla I released this morning.
Yeah.
Like he was doing burnouts in that thing, but we're like
Yeah.
in a parking lot, and the
Yeah.
thing's 90 horsepower, and it's on
Exactly.
Yeah.
14s, and it's
Yeah.
like we're fine.
To me, like, well, being very honest with myself, like, I've always been the type of person, like there's a really long straightaway in Bogus,
Mm-hmm.
and my silver 335, I think it did like 145, 150 down that road, and on the highway, I used to take the silver car to, 180 and just
Mhm.
sit there,
Yeah.
and not give a shit, and like. And my driving style is really aggressive. Like, I know that about myself.
Yeah.
Like, but I've been driving my entire life. I was racing cars and go-karts and shit every weekend. And my thing is, like, I cannot ride with other people.
Yeah.
Like, I can literally put my own life in danger 27 times over,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't ride with other
He
people.
gets in the car with me, who I'm not.
This is my
as
this
good
is
of-
my best friend. I trust him with my life in
Mhm.
any scenario. But I can, like, even in the car, I'm
we,
like, ooh,
we
chill.
had Derek's BRZ, and I took a corner like a little fat, not pushing it at all. I know that car can handle so much more, and he's
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
just can't handle it.
I can't handle riding with other people.
I think that's because you grew up racing and doing
yeah,
stuff like that. I grew up in the passenger seat with my dad,
Okay.
or trying to keep up with him
Yeah.
on stuff. So we used to snowmobile a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah.
we used to go to Canada, and where we used to go in Canada, they have literally a highway network of trails that are
Yeah.
like a street wide,
Yeah.
and you're just doing 100 the whole time, hanging off the edge
Yeah.
around corners, like.
Yeah.
"Bah." And so he'd be like, keep up, and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And in cars, he had a Plymouth Prowler,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
yeah,
We had, when I worked at Dodge, we had a Plymouth Prowler come in for
Mhm.
transmission work, and it had a giant can of NOS.
oh
in
yeah,
the
they used to
back
make
window.
a NOS kit for those.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was-
those were popular in those because of how underpowered they
Yeah.
were. Yeah.
It was just cool to see because it was like one of the first cars I ever saw
But
that
they were-
had NOS in it.
Yeah, but they were all aluminum, so they were super light.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were. I mean, in a corner, like they were quick, like, and they squatted really well. But like he would just do 160, 170 places with.
Mhm.
I was like 10 years old, like which
Yeah.
I would never do with my kid in a car.
No.
And like, or at least insert as much as he did. And
Yeah.
so I just got used to like. My dad is. Let's see how I put this. My dad does a lot of stupid shit, or has done a lot of
Yeah,
stupid
yeah.
shit, right? And so that's one of them. But I just got used to I got to survive.
Yeah.
And so when somebody rips a corner in a car and I'm in the passenger seat, it's like this is nothing compared to the shit
Yeah.
I went through, or lived around. So I mean, he had a Hummer H2, and I'm telling you, like, if he had that Hummer H2 and went up bogus, and you had your silver BMW and went up bogus, he'd be on your ass in a Hummer H2. Somehow,
Yeah.
some way,
Yeesh.
he'd be on your ass.
Yeah.
And like he had 325s on that thing, like BF Goodrich, forged wheels, like straight pipe exhaust. It was a 6.2 liter, and we got pulled over one time doing 120 on the highway, and the cop was like, "This isn't a Corvette."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, yeah, but I can beat a Corvette." Like that was the response, and because we were late for a hockey practice.
Yeah.
Like that's so.
My dad was that way with his truck, dude. He had a 3-inch straight pipe on his V10 on that V10 truck.
Oh my god.
It sounded really good.
Yeah, I
It
bet.
sounded really good, but he just ripped that thing everywhere.
Yeah. So I think that's like just the thing is when I get in these cars, I'm more used to being a passenger in those
Yeah.
scenarios.
I grew up like really competitive with my dad. Like,
Yeah.
if we're out doing something and he said catch me, like I'm trying to pass him. So I think that's where I never got like I never felt like a passenger. I always felt
Right.
like I was trying to like compete.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to think of scenarios. Like with the silver car is just a good example because him and I both drove it and we were both like passenger. And I used to just, dude, do you remember the one intersection?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that was like one of the first times you ever rode with me.
Yeah, because
One of
we'd always like driven around in my Impreza, and I'm being
Yeah.
calm. We're just bumping music, blasting
Yeah.
our eardrums
And
out.
we finally take the 335. One of the first times he's ever ridden with me. It's raining. And we're in the middle of an intersection. There's like, it's middle of the day. So there's
Yeah,
people out.
There's
it's
people
raining.
out.
And I turn into the corner a little bit, and then I just go, what? And I just spin that thing all the way around the corner. We're pointed straight at a mom in a minivan.
Yeah.
She's
Oh
like
my
freaking out.
God.
I'm freaking
He's
out.
freaking out because he's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I just like correct it, and I'm like, "Wah," until it grips down the road. And he was freaked out.
But it was also like the first time I drove with you or rode with you,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what kind of driver you were. So I'm like, this kid's an idiot.
Yeah.
What is he doing? We're about to crash
Right.
and hurt this mom.
I knew what I was doing.
So I know that now, and now I don't
Or at
flinch.
least you thought you knew what you were doing enough to where you had the confidence to break it out of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And so like now I don't flinch about it
Yeah.
because I know how you drive and I'm comfortable with you driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I so like that stuff doesn't faze me at all.
Mhm.
Like sliding through intersections was just my normal.
Right.
Like even the like
Classic BMW guy.
well, even like the 200 something horsepower E34, my first ever car, dude. If it was raining, I would put that thing in second and clutch kick the shit
Mhm.
out of it through every intersection. That was just like my go-to.
I used to love sliding my Blazer, man.
Yeah, and
Too high with that short of a wheelbase and no weight in the back. Take the back
They're
seats out.
they can get
I
rowdy.
get that sideways all
Oh,
the time.
yeah.
Yeah, on BF Goodrich all terrains.
last winter when like all the snow had packed down
Yeah.
for that week, I was driving my truck and it's 2-wheel drive.
Mhm.
That's it. And so it was like I take back roads home because I live out in the boonies,
Yeah,
and it's just like I'd be going down a straight road for 4 miles, and I'm just
Yeah.
fishtailing the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
you
like,
get
I'm
that
bored.
so
well, he
loose.
also had
Yeah.
tires that were damn near slicks.
Yeah.
He had no
That's part of
tread
it.
on his
Yeah.
tires.
But
dude.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that was just like I was sliding around, and so like that stuff doesn't faze me at all.
Yeah.
It's like that. I remember how it felt for that like first slide, just because like that memory is cemented because of his reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how I felt. I was just like, it's raining, like it's intersection's open right now.
Yeah, a
I'm
little
just
bit
like,
of adrenaline kicks in. You're like,
Yeah.
"Meh."
So I'm just like, just enough to touch boost so it would kick.
right.
And I'm looking at the soccer mom like while she's freaking out, and I'm like, everything's fine. I'm correct. Like everything's good. As I'm like pulling it back,
Right.
and I'm just like in bliss, and he's over there like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But and then literally vice versa. I let him drive my car the first time like a month later, 2 months later, and all he did was like a second gear pull, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
calm down. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. We hit 50 miles an hour. And he was
Yeah.
like, stop.
It definitely depends on the person in the
Sure.
car. And,
Yeah.
I knew Tyler with that BMW. He with the M4. Like he's been racing and he used to race bikes and
Yeah.
he's done that road and Loman Loop and like he has pushed everything he could to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I trusted him. Like I know I'm not, but I was definitely scared in that car for
Yeah.
sure. I think there's been 2 or 3 times where I've been Nathan's Viper scared me
Yeah.
because of how raw.
It's a raw
That-
car.
Very raw.
Raw car.
Raw.
I want a
Yeah.
raw car.
And he wasn't pushing it hard. Like the
Yeah.
corners we were taking 35, 40 miles an hour, and I'd be like, we're doing 100.
Yeah.
And I'd look over and it's like, he pulled into a gas station and I was scared. I was like, seriously, on 55, we pulled into the gas station there, like after you take the corner off
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah.
And he comes up the intersection and just puts it in the first. He pulled in the gas station like 10 miles an hour. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, because the thing you just feel like you're going 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got no exhaust on, so it's just headers.
Yep.
And you're like, you feel like you're just about to take off.
Yeah.
And plus they have Vipers have a reputation. It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, but he had owned one long. Again, he had owned one for so long.
Yeah.
I trusted him too, and he didn't go crazy, even though it looks like we're flying.
Hopefully, I don't scare you too much with this car.
Yeah, and again, 50%.
50%. No,
Because it's not like it's also not the point of the channel. Like I don't want it to be
No.
too clickbaity or like
No.
that. It's
This
the
335 blew up during
Yes.
the interview.
It might.
It's in a ditch off a bogus.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
flew off of a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't decided what power number I'm shooting at for this one. I keep saying 800 just to be safe.
That's doable.
To be
though.
safe.
To be safe, yeah. I don't know.
I
Four,
think-
4 digits would be nice.
Dude, that's too much, man. I first of all, I think it's cool to go to 1,000. Like I think that stuff cool.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, it's just when is it going to end? The like maximum amount of power.
I've driven every power level,
Mm-hmm.
almost every power level. I mean, I've gone up to 2,000,
That's insane.
and I don't know. Every car just has a different experience,
Right.
Right, and every power level has a different
Right.
experience. And I found that 1,000 and like a car like this, where you have multiple maps, so I can have it at 600 and I can cruise
Right.
around town, do a
Yep.
couple street pulls. I can turn it up to 800 and I can.
Or you can run it on pump versus
yeah.
the 85.
Yeah, I
and-
can scare a couple people at 800, and then I can take it to Firebird. I can turn it up to 1,000 and see what I can do in a pass.
Right.
That has always had massive appeal to me.
Mhm.
I want the ability to. I don't want to be stuck at 600. I want the ability to kind of play around with it. And if I
Yeah.
really want that much power that day, I can load up the map,
Mhm.
switch it to E,
Yep.
and I can rip it.
Change some fuel around.
And so I get how it's too much for some people.
yeah.
But I just get really bored easily with cars. Like, especially with racing, like, you reach a certain speed and then it's just kind of numb.
I've heard that from a lot of people
Yeah,
that
and-
you like people that race at a certain amount of horsepower will be like,
Yep.
I worked my way up to this.
Yeah.
And like, it's now I'm never going back because it's
Yeah.
just, it's not, it feels so much
I'm,
slower
I'm
now.
fully numb to anything below 600.
Yeah.
It just is like, okay, like,
Well, just
it's quick, but like I don't feel anything for
Right.
it. And it has to be breaking the wheels in at least third for me to even get an emotional reaction. Yeah.
look at Max Verstappen. Like he's
Yeah.
bored of F1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like? That's like, to me, it's like that's like one of the pinnacles in motorsports, and he's
Yeah.
bored of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes with just the fact that he's just winning, period. And I think that'll change with the second half of the season.
Sure.
Yeah. It also
Complete
becomes a
little
career at some point too versus like a passion. And
Yeah.
you think of like Tom Brady and like football and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, how
Yeah.
much more can you do?
True.
And it's like, how much can you accomplish? Like, how much higher horsepower can you get before it's like, I better just switch to planes
Well, it's
and
like-
start like
Drifting
Have you-
planes,
drifting
like-
planes? Yeah.
Have you ever played like a video game against AI? Like when you're dominating, it's not
it's
fun.
not fun. Yeah.
You want competition, so you can be
Mhm.
like, I'm this much better than the other guy, but
Right.
I'm better.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm not better, and it puts a chip on my shoulder. To
Yeah,
be
exactly.
Better. Yeah.
And the next week I'm better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since you brought up Max Verstappen, I just want to talk about this because there's some bullshit going on in the racing community. Fucking Kyle Larson opened his mouth.
Oh God.
And he needs to go back to his fucking cave
What
in
did he say?
Nebraska.
I don't care about F1, but like that much. Like I
Yeah.
pay attention to it a little bit. But I used to be a big NASCAR guy growing up.
My dad's huge.
My dad
NASCAR.
was a huge NASCAR
Yeah.
guy, but I again like don't really follow it too closely anymore.
Yeah.
But I
Me neither.
know who Kyle Larson is, and
So do you know about what's going on right now?
no, I have no idea.
Okay. Do you know about?
No
what I'm
idea.
No. This is great. Neither of you know. So, for some reason, there's sparked this debate. Kyle Larson was in an interview or something.
Who does he race for?
Kyle Larson races in NASCAR, and he races
for Hendricks, right?
There we
yeah,
go.
and he
Hendrick
races
Motorsports.
dirt sprint cars.
Okay.
Dirt sprint cars and NASCAR. That is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen is a championship F1 driver. Kyle Larson does not have any championships except for in a different category of dirt racing, I believe. Currently in sprint
And
cars.
Kyle Larson drinks Budweiser.
He might
Sprint
have.
cars,
He
yeah.
might have a sprint car
Max Verstappen
championship.
I think
drinks
he has a Cup
drinks
Series
Prosecco.
What?
Doesn't he have
He
a
does
Cup
not
Series
have a
championship?
NASCAR. He's never won a championship in NASCAR. I
Kyle
know that
Larson?
much. Kyle Larson.
I don't think so. I don't think he
No,
has.
he's not. But he has. He's done well in dirt and sprint cars.
Yeah, and he's done pretty well
Yeah.
in NASCAR, but
So-
he's never won a championship.
So this guy kind of sparked a debate because they asked him like about Max Verstappen because
yeah.
Max Verstappen is like the pinnacle of racing, right?
Right.
And he said that basically he's a better all around driver than Max Verstappen, and it sparked this debate of like,
Man, that's
well,
the smartest thing Kyle Larson could have ever said.
he was like, if I went and tried F1, it would take me two hours or some shit like that. So it'd take me 2 hours to get it and be as fast as Max. But if Max tried to come do NASCAR or dirt racing, it would take him 2 weeks to even come near me.
What did he say? Why?
No,
Because
he
he's a
just
better
he
all-around
sees
driver.
he's
That's
just a
his-
better all around
that's his
driver,
word.
and
Man.
F1 is apparently easy according to
What
Kyle
a great
Larson.
publicity move by Kyle Larson.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Stupidest
Yeah.
thing ever to say, but
Yeah.
very smart for
He's
him.
tested the limits of stupidest things to stay.
He has said
A lot of
the-
NASCAR guys do.
He has said the no word.
The no-no word.
The
Yes.
no word live while racing. So yeah, but the
With
thing
Bubba Wallace in attendance.
Oh my
True.
god.
It's Bubba Wallace is a joke anyway. I don't even want to get into that. But the thing for me is like, there's people actually defending this point of view, like it has any merit, and I'm just like, how can you even for a second believe that Kyle Larson is anywhere in the same league as Max Verstappen?
At 16, Yas put Max in a GT car
yeah.
around Spa, and Yas was scared.
Yeah.
Max didn't blink until like halfway through the lap.
Yeah.
I think we should get them 2 BMWs
There you go.
and put them on a
Burble Tune 335
Yep.
eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
and say have at it, boys, and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Well, I don't know if we can do that because I know for a fact Kyle Larson has never set foot in a BMW.
You don't think so?
He's
I don't think
never
he
to be
set
like
would
a
want
Camaro.
to.
Did you watch that Netflix show about the NASCAR drivers?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's like the the quarterbacks one that Peyton
Yeah.
Manning did. They did one like that for NASCAR.
Oh, really?
I
I
think
haven't
Kyle
seen
Larson. I don't know if Kyle Larson was on it, but all of them had like the same house, same wife, same
Yeah,
cars.
It's just copycat.
And it's
everything.
like, dude, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Except like one guy, the one that came from E-Racing.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Alex Bowman, right?
Yeah,
No.
I think so.
Yeah, Alex
Yeah,
Bowman.
he was a pretty normal guy.
Yeah, 'cause he came up normally.
Came up normally.
He didn't come
yeah.
like up from some dirt track.
Yeah, you guys
with his-
talked about that on another episode, didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah, a little bit.
Because
Yeah.
I really wanted to do. I'm heavy into iRacing now. I was
Mhm.
literally racing iRacing before I came to the podcast.
Okay.
I won at Daytona today. Big win at
Congratulations.
Class C Daytona. But yeah, I'm big into iRacing, so we're talking about how I wish I could have like moved up
Yeah.
if I would have started earlier.
Yeah.
But my dad was like, "There's nothing in simulator racing. If you want to race, we're gonna put you in a real car."
Yeah.
I was like, "Put me in a real car." He's like, "We can't afford that." But
But even he did a ton of real racing.
He did
Like,
a
his
lot,
parents
yeah.
invested a ton in his real racing career
it
too.
takes a lot of money to lose money.
Yeah. Yep.
But
But yeah, I
It's
think Max
hilarious.
Verstappen's just a
well, Max Verstappen has been in a BMW and won a 24-hour event on sim, technically, but still.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though.
Mere
They,
hours before an F1 race.
that was wild to hear.
Yeah,
I read
you know
that
about
story,
that?
and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this guy is
He
doesn't give an F about nothing.
He raced for
It's like Michael Scott.
Yeah, he took he's doing, what was that? 24 hours of, was it
think it
Nordschleife? Nürburgring?
It may have been Nürburgring.
I think it was
I'm not
Nürburgring. 24 hours. Yeah, it was 24 hours Nürburgring. It was Nürburgring. He raced for 6 hours, a 6-hour stint, slept for 2 hours, and went and won an F1
Yeah.
race.
And they were pissed at him, right?
Yeah.
The
His
recent
team?
one they were pissed at because he didn't win. The previous one that was
They
think
let it
earlier
slide?
in the season or
Yeah.
last season,
He
went
won,
and
so they were
shit
like-
on everyone in the race, so they
Yeah.
didn't really care.
Yeah, and then
This season it happened, and he ended up kind of not performing the best.
Yeah.
And they were
Cart.
like, all right, we're done with that.
yeah,
Mhm.
they told him he can't anymore, and he was like, I don't give a fuck. But the
I-
car's also performing like shit. I don't know if anybody's seen the clip of him full lock, and the wheels are turned like this much.
Really?
He's in a
Yeah.
Red Bull car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're having all kinds of issues this year, aren't they?
Yeah, they're having bad. Have you not seen that video?
Mm-mm.
He was the last race. I forget what Grand Prix it was. The
Like
one
the most
the
recent
one
one?
Lando won.
Oh, that was at Zandvoort.
Yeah, he was full, like that whole race he was full lock, and the car had no steering input, and he still got fucking second with no steering.
Yeah, he's nice.
Kyle Larson could suck my
yeah.
Meanwhile, Kyle Larson would have to be turning the other way to have
Yeah.
any sort of corner.
Exactly. He's a dirt racer. Like, stay in your lane, bro.
The NASCAR drivers don't, though. They say ridiculous shit all the time.
True. And have you ever raced Daytona in a sim? It's the easiest fucking.
It's boring.
I qualified pole today
Listen,
one-handed.
NASCAR
I
98,
would-
I used to win that track every time.
Really?
Well, yeah, on what difficulty, though?
I gotta.
Easy.
Yeah.
We were going. This is a true story. I'm saying this because BMAC knows iRacing, and
Mhm.
so like he'll appreciate this. I got a bloody nose right when practice started.
Yeah.
I missed practice.
What track?
Daytona. This is
yeah,
my win.
yeah.
My win today. I missed practice. I'm holding a tissue in my nose and qualifying with one hand. I get pull, and then I went on and won the Daytona.
Daytona super speedways
It's
in that
so
game
easy.
take no skill.
I'm just
and
like-
in terms of the actual track. Of
It
course,
takes skill
a
like
lot when you're in
drafting.
a pack. It takes a lot of thought
Yeah.
process and strategy,
Well,
but
yeah, well,
in the
probably a lot of
actual
patience, too.
track and just keeping it there,
I will say like the patience for because we had 20 in a pack the entire race today.
Damn.
And
what's your I rating?
I don't know, dude. I don't look at that shit. I click register. No, I don't know what my I rating is actually. I genuinely have not looked. But we're in a pack of 20, and like I said, I got pole, but then I'm so bad at starts, so I was in fourth for 90% of the race, and it's literally just patience. I'm sitting there you get a little bit of a jet, and you're like, nah, there's not really an opening, and so you just sit there and you're like, just do this the whole Daytona
Mhm.
race. And then finally, this guy opened up on the outside. I just slid up there, pushed this Mustang, and then slid to the bottom super hard. Got a push from the first lane that was coming, and then they pushed me all the way around for the win. And I was like, now I'm gonna go podcast.
Say, when you first got your sim, you got a NASCAR game,
Oh yeah.
and I literally fell
He
asleep
fell
on the
asleep
couch
watching. He
'cause,
does not. He's not a NASCAR guy.
I can't
It
watch
bores me to
NASCAR.
death.
I can't watch it. I can race the shit out of it.
I can watch it a little bit. I can put it on in the background. But I
Mhm.
also, it's the same with F1. It's just
Sure.
it's just not.
My
I like watching actual videos of people on a track, even F1 clips where it's you watch them blocking and
Yeah.
strategizing and trying to pass, and I'm like, oh, that is sick. And especially when somebody's explaining it,
yeah.
even football's like that now. I can't watch a game.
I
I'm
can't
I've-
watch sports. Period.
sports in general, but if you get when they get the Peyton Manning on there to do his Manning cast, or Tony Romo, and they're actually explaining it to me.
Tony Romo, very mid quarterback.
Yes.
Insane announcer.
Yes.
He's so
And
good
the way
at
he explains the
announcing.
game,
Yeah.
and even with Manning and the Manning cast, I'm like, oh, okay, that's
The
more
Manning cast
interesting
is
to me.
funny.
Yeah,
too.
and it's
I've-
funny, and it's then you can okay, that's why they did that play. It's a
Yeah.
meaningless play, but now it's oh, there's a strategy
setup,
behind
yeah.
that. So it's the same thing with the driving. It's okay, you watch his last lap, he came on the corner here into the corner here,
Yeah.
and no one was in front of him. But now he's trying to pass this guy, so he's going to come in here to convince the guy to come out so he can cut him out. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And I see that.
I would
now.
like to explain Daytona drafting to you because I feel like you'd be
Daytona drafting's cool. I like
you'd
when they
be
talk about
interested
that.
in it,
Yeah. And that's where I actually like the bigger tracks.
Yeah.
That's where I think the bigger tracks are more interesting because there's way more strategy. when you're at Bristol and you're just going in a fucking circle like this nonstop,
Yeah.
it's like you're just waiting for an opening and going.
I'm a big time short track racer. Like right before Daytona, I did Martinsville and got like
Martinsville's a cool
and got
track
third. I love Martinsville
because you get those straights a little
Yeah.
bit before you get
yeah, and so and like, but short track is just literally like what? But I love the like. There's still a strategy to that
Mm-hmm.
because Daytona, obviously you're still like burning rubber and all that.
Yep.
But there's not a lot. There's pit strategy, but there's not a ton of it. It's really
Mhm.
just making sure you're in the right place at the right time with
Yep.
the draft, with the pack.
And you're patient.
Martinsville, I like the strategy of like, if I keep cooking it into the corner to be faster than this guy, like he'll outrun me in the end because I'm cooking the front tires.
Right.
So it's like you have to find the balance.
It's like cold trickle.
And
That's where I like places like Iowa or Richmond.
Iowa's sick. Richmond is scary.
Richmond is
Richmond's-
terrifying.
Richmond, you literally just have to ride the wall the whole time, and I
And it comes
I
up on you.
I
Richmond's
hate
that
riding
one
the
that's
wall.
like this, right? It's like
Yeah,
almost like an
it's two different-
triangle
they
Yeah.
oval
two
type
different
thing.
corners.
Yeah.
It's an oval, but it's two different corners.
Right.
It's,
And
That's
that
pretty weird.
What's that turn 4 you come out of or turn 1?
if you come out of 4,
yeah.
you're
And the
coming
thing-
up to
and
a
the-
wall
it
that
looks
has
like
to
you're just
follow
about to
your line.
smack
Yeah.
the
The whole
wall.
time.
Yeah.
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 And it's funny. So Richmond is currently like where they are now. Like I finished the Daytona race and it switched to Richmond, and I'm like, do I even race this week? Because it's scary, dude. But I was gonna say, sorry, another thing just for Big Mac. You know how the week before, I was talking about how much I hate the new gen cars.
Yes.
I've warmed up on them a lot.
They're so
what
fun.
cars?
They're so fun. The new gen NASCARs. They got like
yeah.
the center lock. They're kind of they are sequential. Their steering is really really light, but now that I've found like the balance point and the ability to kind of like 4-wheel slide them up to a wall, I'm like, these are sick, dude.
In my opinion, they're a lot more fun than the Gen 7s or
Yeah.
6s especially. The Gen 6s are fast as fuck in a straight line.
Gen 6s will always be my favorite on camera.
Yeah.
What years are the Gen 6s?
Like 2013.
Oh,
area.
yeah, those are good.
Those
Yeah.
things
Right
look-
after the car of
they
tomorrow
look
with
so
the big
sick.
wing.
Well, actually,
oh my God, I hated that freaking thing.
the car of tomorrow will always be my childhood favorite.
Yes.
Really?
It was the sickest car.
because
dude.
you're,
With the
'cause you're
giant
younger.
wing.
Yeah.
When they put the big ass wing and they were wrecking every fucking day, I was
Actually,
like,
that was
this is
yeah.
That was
so,
so
sick.
entertaining.
They were like
They couldn't get that
900
thing under
horsepower.
control.
They
Yeah.
could not control them.
And they were light and they were loud.
And then
You-
they were pissed off at the cars, so then they got pissed off at each other, and they'd
Yeah.
fight like crazy in the
Oh
pits.
yeah, dude, the
Yeah.
Carl Edwards Tony Stewart beef.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, dude, that was peak.
I'm so lost.
I know. Hayden's like, what the
okay.
fuck are they talking about?
It's irrelevant
Well,
anyway.
and then Kurt Busch was in the prime of his anger management issue.
Oh, dude. I just love my dad. My dad hated, and I mean like loathe Kurt Busch. If Kurt Busch was on the TV, like my dad doesn't swear,
That's
and
what
my mom
dad was.
hates
Him
swearing.
and Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and if Kurt Busch was on the TV, my dad was like, "Fuck that guy," like under his
Who
breath.
did your dad root for?
And my dad has always been
Hendricks?
Jeff
guy?
Gordon.
Jeff
fan.
Gordon, yeah.
Jeff
Okay.
Gordon. Like he
That's
had
right.
a room. I'm not even kidding. A room that was all 24
wild.
memorabilia.
That's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
And yeah, he was big Jeff Gordon fan. My mom made him sell it all, but I was a kid. I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and
Yeah.
they made me pick a favorite driver because it was like NASCAR family.
Mhm.
My mom's favorite was Tony Stewart. She loved Tony Stewart.
That's very combative with your dad there. On
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon. Yeah.
Some beef. They would always like
Oil
be
and
like
water.
they'd always be chirping at each other, you know,
Yeah.
whoever was leading or doing better in
Yeah.
the race. I was just like, Casey Kane's so cool.
Casey Kane.
I was
he
a
was a
big-
Hendricks guy too, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was Hendrick. I was a fan of Casey Kane. I had the 9 shirts and shit.
That's wild.
We actually went to I've been to 4 NASCAR races in real life.
Really?
And we did the oh my gosh, Fontana. We did the VIP experience. So I've been in I was in the Fontana
That's
pits,
cool.
and I got to meet Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. And we walked around the cars, and we went like back to the interview rooms. Like my parents were into NASCAR, and I really enjoyed it when I was a kid. Like I enjoyed seeing the cars in person. It
Yeah,
was
that's
so
neat.
sick.
Yeah.
It was so sick. But
I've never been to a race, but I've seen the guy who owns Loudon's Lake House from the outside before
Dude,
on the water.
Fontana. We went to Phoenix, Vegas, and Charlotte. But Fontana, when
Where's
we went,
Fontana? California.
Fontana was California, right? We went. It was 140 degrees that day. The track temp, or 130 degrees. The track temp, like on the track, like beating off the asphalt. Someone measured. It was like in the 160s. People were like fanning left and right, just dropping.
I was gonna say 130.
The teams were like taking trash cans emptying them out, filling them with ice. It was melting like that, but people were like literally taking off their shirts and stuff, dumping it in the ice water and putting it back on just to try to stay cool. It was so hot, and we were like walking around the pits, which is even hotter because you have all the cars running through. Like, I remember that whole day, like, the cars were having issues left and right because it was so hot. It was like a record hot day. And that was the last year that they ever did Fontana in, like, August. Because it was just...
Too hot there,
They determined it was just too hot for that time of year. Well, the tires were, like... Melting. Like, there's a point past where they're really sticky. Where they just, like, can't even keep tires on the cars. So, yeah. Also, but it was a cool-ass experience. So.
Yeah, that is cool. Also, there's plenty of other tracks in colder weather temperatures where...
Exactly.
Send them there in, February like they do with Phoenix.
Yeah. Dude, sorry. Last NASCAR thing. Did you see that they're going to Bowman Gray for the Clash?
That's sick.
I mean,
what do you?
So they're also going back to Iowa next year.
Oh, they're going back to Iowa.
Oh.
Bowman Gray is like that historic track in Washington.
Yep.
The track is this fucking big.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put like 20, 30 cars, NASCAR, next gen NASCARs on that track.
Those things are big as
They're
shit.
just gonna be front end to back end the whole race. I don't know.
I mean, it's
pile
gonna be
them up,
Bristol.
baby.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be worse than Bristol. Have you seen how small? Super late models look big on that track.
My wife hates
Legend
NASCAR.
cars.
Really?
Hates it, and I love putting it on the TV just to fuck with her. And then I'll be like, "Well, we just gotta wait for the big wreck."
Yeah, yeah. And you just keep her going. There's no wreck, and you're like,
no wreck.
"Oh, well, next week, I guess."
Next week, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a letdown.
Have you been to Meridian Speedway?
I haven't been to Meridian. I've been to Firebird, which is just a drag strip, but I haven't been to Meridian yet. I haven't been to any tracks out here. I've been to a lot back east. There's a bunch of little ones.
We have.
Hey, everybody. I got a bit of a shameless plug today, right? I just started a detailing company. It's called Maxwell Detailing, and I would love to detail your car for you. I take immense pride in my work, and I've been doing it for 5 years. I'm the paint correction man, so if you want that paint to look perfect, you know who to call. So give me a call, 208-971-0324, or go on our Instagram. It's Maxwell Detailing, and I'll hit you with a quote. But let me take care of your car, and I'll make it perfect again. Peace. Hey guys, I need to tell you about something that's dear to all of our hearts here at Off the Path. My amazing girlfriend's father has fought a really long and tiring battle with cancer, and I wanted to take some time to talk with you guys about the amazing man that he truly is. Shortly after I met my girlfriend Sierra, I was looking for my next step in life with her, and I was wanting to move to Star, Idaho, where she was located, because I was located in northern Idaho about 4 or 5 hours away. I didn't have the resources to make that move and do it sustainably by myself. Sierra's dad, Bill, offered his home to me and took me in just like his own son. The way he treated me was with insane kindness and love and things that I didn't expect from him, and he didn't owe me. He barely even knew me. And I will always be immensely grateful for the opportunities that he's provided me just in the short time that I've known him, and the wisdom that he's given to both me and to Hayden in the short time we've known him. During his long battle with cancer, he's truly been nothing short of a star to his entire family. He's kept his laughter, his hilarious sarcasm, and his endless humor flowing the entire time. And as he fought harder and harder, so have the bills. So I'm here to tell you about this GoFundMe that my amazing girlfriend has set up for her father. At the link in our bio, you can not only find out more about his journey, but also about the entire family's battle and everything that they've been dealing with. If you feel it in your heart to donate, I really, really appreciate it, and we all really, really appreciate it. If you can't, I fully understand, and times are really tough right now. I get it more than ever. And so I only ask that if you can't donate, please just say a prayer for this family. They've been through so much, and they still have some road ahead of them. So thank you guys. Enjoy.
So we have a good event for you to come to.
Yeah.
Fudge. We gotta set the
Sorry.
camera.
Fudge.
Yeah.
So my dad sponsors the track.
Oh, cool.
His company sponsors the track, so we get a stack.
Maxwell Plumbing.
Maxwell Plumbing,
Yeah.
dude. We get a stack of tickets every race.
Okay.
You absolutely need to come on.
Yeah, definitely.
The next event that we're 100% going to is September 21st.
Okay.
If anybody wants tickets, hit me up. And it's the wing sprint cars.
You should do a giveaway.
Ooh, yeah. Well, we get them for free. We give them away for free. Like,
Well, you can give them away for free, but you should do like a giveaway, like, hey, if we hit a certain amount of followers or something,
Yeah, there
we'll
you
give
go.
away 8 tickets.
But
I was gonna say we should also do take him to go to Festival of Speed with Barnes.
yeah, you need to go to a festival of speed. Dude.
Okay.
The drift stuff.
Drift
You
Yeah.
need to
I
get.
haven't been to
get-
anything drift
What?
You
before.
need to interview a drifter
I
while
know.
he's drifting around the track.
That would be crazy.
Interview
we
with-
can set that
hilarious.
up.
Actually, yeah,
Have, like, a
interview with
mic.
Barnes
Yeah, we
while
can
he's
set that
up. Yeah.
sliding the track would be amazing.
Do you
I'm
wanna
asking,
do
like
that?
hard hitting? Yeah, 100%.
We'll set that up.
Asking hard hitting questions.
Yeah.
while he's- yeah,
Yeah.
that'd actually be hilarious
We
too.
can do
Yeah.
that.
Why did your wife leave you?
Oh,
What? What? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
But,
so why? Where? How did you fall in love with cars?
just like this. But yeah, you need. We're gonna drag you out to the sprint car event.
Yeah, that'd be
'Cause,
great.
dude. Have you ever seen a wing sprint car?
Yeah.
Yeah, and have you ever like watched them race in
Mhm.
person?
Yep.
Yeah, they're
It's cool.
insane.
Yeah, it's
They're
wild.
fucking insane. These guys are doing. I think they're doing at Meridian Speedway. It's a quarter-mile track, and they're doing like 11 second, 10 second. I
Are
think
they
it's-
really that short of lap times?
Oh yeah.
they're doing like 10-second quarter miles in an oval.
Mm-hmm.
Like these things are fast as
Yeah.
fuck. They're so sick. And so our good buddy Colton Nelson, who's coming on the podcast, is one of the guys who
Oh,
races.
sweet. Hell yeah.
So we sponsor his car and the tracks.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll get you out to there. We're gonna
That'd
drag
be
you to that.
great.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have a good time. It's gonna be sick.
September 21st.
September 21st.
Okay.
Put it in your
I'll
calendar.
Put it in my calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget it, dude.
I won't.
It's gonna be sick.
Yeah,
it's
that'd
the
be sweet.
last sprint car race of the season before winter.
Yeah, because I was looking at their calendar recently, and it
Yeah.
looked like they were almost
So
wrapped up.
it's
Right.
the last one.
Normally, the other one to go to is Diamond Cup, which is normally mid-June.
okay.
That we try to hit that
You
one
guys
every
went to
year.
that, didn't you? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to that. It's a
So-
Friday, Saturday
I
event.
saw you guys posted
It's almost
a bunch of one of
always
those.
Yeah.
on my birthday.
Yeah.
It's been on my birthday the last 2 years, so
Yeah.
that's
It's a
normally
good
what
birthday,
we do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we can go into the pits afterwards. You
Hell
can see
yeah.
the cars. We'll introduce you to Colton. You can meet
Yeah.
everybody. It's such a sick vibe.
Yeah,
that's
going
awesome.
to the track.
The other one is Eva Destruction.
Eva Destruction's cool.
Is it?
They
Yeah.
do boat races.
Oh, hell
They-
yeah.
they-
Dude,
they-
I love the boat
they,
races.
they get piece of shit cars and they
Love
tow
that
boats
shit,
behind
yeah.
them. The last guy with his boat still
Yeah.
wins. Yeah.
Those and the camper ones are my favorite.
Yeah.
Do they
and
do
they
the
drop
one-
a car from a crane. They blow shit up.
Nice.
Do they do the one where they after the boat race, the like top 6 or whatever, get in the back of some cargo van and throw shit out the back?
No,
Oh my god! Do you have any
they
clue what I'm
might-
talking about?
I don't have any clue
Okay,
what you're talking about.
So boat races, right? The last like 5 guys. Of course, they'll
Yeah.
go till the end, but the last
Yeah.
like 5 guys will all get in this basic ass econo van
yeah,
with, $180 worth of produce,
nice.
and the entire rest of the field's job is to stop that van.
Oh, sick.
And there's one guy driving, of course. One of the 5 is driving. The rest of the 4 are in the back. The doors are open,
Oh my god.
and they're just throwing
Sounds
shit out
so
the back,
dangerous.
like watermelons,
yeah.
bags of flour, eggs, just
Not
left
the eggs.
and right.
Eggs are
I-
so expensive.
I just love seeing what these guys put
Milk.
together. I love seeing what these guys put together for the boat races because they can pretty much take any piece of shit old car
Yeah.
and do whatever they want to it. So like one year there was a guy who put a wing sprint car wing on the top of his car, and then he had like a police lights and a bunch of other shit, and then he like painted on the side. Like it was just the coolest thing. And he's towing like a big ass boat that was too heavy for the car, so he just kept getting wrecked the whole time.
Have you seen the dude that does Noah's Ark with like the whole
Yeah. Yeah.
Elmo cast?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's a good time, but we'll get you
Oh,
out.
that sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
do
fortunately, you've already missed the Diamond Cup and the Eve Destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll get you out to the sprint cars. That's a
And
really
then we'll do those next year.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, definitely. Anytime you want tickets, just
Sounds good.
I have an abundance,
Okay.
and I have to give them all out, and it's a pain. It's a pain. It's so sad. But yeah, it's a really fun time. So.
I've used to go to a lot of that stuff, and I just haven't done any of it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that definitely sounds like a good time.
Yeah. We'll have to do that.
What?
You got anything for him?
No.
You've been listening for a while now.
a little bit.
What have you learned?
What have I learned? We all like cars.
We all like cars. We talked a
To an
lot
extent.
about cars.
We did.
We always
Is
talk
there,
a lot about
is there anything
cars.
non-car stuff you guys want to talk
This
about?
is a non-car podcast.
I know.
After
See,
all.
that's what I thought. I
Yeah.
thought it was.
That's a
Yeah.
non-
What got you? Why accounting?
Why accounting?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So I was sitting in high school and knew I was going to have to pay for college myself.
Yeah.
And I liked working and making money. And it was like, and I was also very scared, like, of trying to find a job. I remember being in high school, like, I don't want to have to struggle to find a job.
Yeah.
And we did like this career. We had like a class where we had to do like, figure out different careers and statistics about them. And accounting, I remember accounting was more than 70% of the profession at the time was over the age of 45.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was like, so basically there's going to be this massive gap.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And the average salary was like, at that point, I think was like, starting out was like 45,000, which was a lot, like 80, 75 now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was 2009, 8 or 9. And the economy was trash. So I was in high school during like that huge housing bubble.
About that time.
And so I remember just being like, I remember my cousins who were like sisters to me, like struggling to find work and like just everything going on. And it was like accountants always have a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted something to fall back on.
Yeah.
And I took an accounting class and I was like, oh, this is like interesting or whatever. And so I was like, I know I want to go to college for business, but I didn't really, and like in my family, it was like, you have to go to college. It was like, it was weird back then. Like I graduated in 2011 and it was that era of, if you don't go to college, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And which is stupid.
I got the tail end of that. We were talking about that with Barnes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very stupid,
Yeah.
like, and very flawed mentality.
Yeah.
But so I went to college, and I went in as an accounting major, and what I realized is I'm not an accountant,
No.
like just my personality. But I am like an entrepreneur and a business-minded person, and what I realized is I also doubled it with entrepreneurship. And every entrepreneurship class I went into, the school I went to, the big thing was like start businesses in the program.
Yeah.
I never had an idea where I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But every single person that had an idea knew nothing about the finances, knew nothing about the accounting, and knew nothing what to do with it and what the data meant.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is like there was a knowledge gap and also like a gap on how to help people understand. So my tagline has always been simplify the complex.
Gotcha.
So it's like, how do you use data to make mindful business decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can sit here and go, I feel like my business needs this or our business needs this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you have to back that up? Like what data and how do you understand that, what you're using to back it up? And that's where the accounting industry has failed, is they just have created a bunch of robots that are just like, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
Instead of understanding that you're the backbone of like the business world and helping people understand what that data that you're putting together means.
Yeah.
And so I just found this, I started to go into like internships, and I realized like the Big Four and just sitting at a desk all day, like doing the same thing over and over again wasn't for me. But I stuck with accounting because I just felt like I know I'm going to get a job, and if there's other shit I want to do, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
And so I really pissed off a lot of people at my school because I didn't go Big Four. I didn't do like the whole thing is this +1 program now.
Yeah.
Where you go get a master's in accounting, which is stupid. Also stupid because you regurgitate everything you learned in 4 years. You pay the school an extra $50,000, and now I'm going to dork out for a minute, but to get your CPA, you have to have 150 credits, college credits. You graduate with 124 in a standard 4-year school. Talk about a scam.
Yeah.
You know who sets the 150 credit requirement? The fucking state accountancy boards that are funded by the people that are applying for the CPA exam that get their education from a university. So it's all interconnected of like, well, 124 credits isn't enough anymore, so let's make it 150.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory.
Dude,
and so
college is such a scam. I've been on that thing for a long time.
Yeah, I think for the right major, I think for a lot of people it's the right decision, and for a lot of people it's not.
There's
right?
ways that it's worth it, but I don't think college is a scam. I think there's knowledge to be learned there.
Yeah.
I think that the payment, the amount of money that is wrapped up in these things, the societal, like you have to be this person or know this person. I think that stuff is
higher
a scam.
education is a major flaw, and just like the housing bubble of 08-09, you're going to have a massive shift in higher education. Your rankings as a university are based off of several different factors. Your endowment is one of them.
Yeah.
So you're a university and you're raising money. If you do not raise a certain amount of money and retain that money in your coffers, you will have a lower rating than another institution.
Mm-hmm.
They could be teaching the same curriculum, have the same level of professor, have the same student performance, everything.
Yeah.
But that is a matter of ranks between 5th and 30th in U.S. World News and Reports rankings and other rankings. That is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be about, because they look at that as like, well, that's the positivity of your alumni and how they view the institution. No, bullshit. You have like alumni that have made millions or billions of dollars and need to tax shelter it.
Yeah.
And so one of the best ways to tax shelter like money so that you, or to avoid tax on money, you make big donations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might be to a cause you actually care about, right? Like there are rich people that donate to causes. Like I'm not rich, but I donate like money to my university just because I care about the school.
Yeah.
But like, and I don't donate a lot, but I still give. And it's like, it's all BS. And so
I've never agreed with measuring schools by money.
It's stupid. Yeah. It's very
like,
backwards.
You've stopped caring about the education, then you stopped
100%.
caring about actually pumping out students that know what they're talking about. I know so many people who are still paying their $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in school debt, and they can't fucking get a job that they're,
But what you're having now,
shit says,
since the pandemic, is you're having a shift in the way like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds are looking at college and realizing like, is this worth the investment?
Yeah.
Right? And so you also have another problem where you have kids coming out of college and don't want to go work 60 hours, 70 hours a week in an office.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather work 60 hours a week at a laundromat I can buy for $200,000.
Yeah.
And maybe I make 20% less or 40% less over my lifetime than I normally would, but it's for me, not for somebody else. Yeah. And I get to set, I'm the boss. Like I get to do what I want to do.
There's a big push in the new adult age range right now for like entrepreneurship and like smartness with finances. Like a push that hasn't really been there in the past.
No.
There's like a lot of like, I call it like a wake up of like kids our age where it's like, no, I'm not going to contribute to your fucking, you're a millionaire, like you have a yacht. I'm not going to contribute to that. I'm going to contribute to me.
Or just, why am I going to sacrifice my mental health and physical health to get this job done because you told me to?
Yeah.
It's not worth it. My wife worked like 60, 70, 80 hours a week at KPMG and would come home at 2, 3 in the morning, not all year, but during busy season, and would come home 2, 3 in the morning just crying and get up at 6 a.m. and start the whole day again. And it's like, for what? Because your boss told you to and the client needs that one thing done on that timeline. And so I hate it. I tried to buck that quickly, and so I went into a very small firm where I was talking to clients day one and got a different experience with a mentor that really taught me like the numbers side of just running a business. And I just parlayed that into how do I help businesses grow and helping them understand their data so that they can make informed decisions at the right time. And so I became like the firm I work for, we're basically fractional. It used to be called outsource. Now it's fractional because it sounds better than you outsource to India versus your fractional CFOs in the U.S. Bullshit. So it's, we went from CFOs down to who runs payroll. And that's what we did for a specific type of business. And that's why, but long story short, that's why I went from accounting into that. It's just, I was looking for a solid job in an industry that I knew there was going to be demand. And it's just, the demand is still growing. They can't find people. And the accounting firms, you'd think, people that are at the forefront of financial like safety in the world. Like every company that's big goes through an audit by one of these firms. And they're saying, they're good. They're being compliant. It's not the company's job to be compliant all the time. Like their companies are always going to bend the boundaries. Right? It's the auditors that are supposed to go in there, and the tax accountants are supposed to go in there and say, like, no, you have to do this, this, and this. If they don't understand or have the people that understand and do the right thing and have stay at the forefront of innovation.
Yeah.
They can't.
No,
You're going to end up with an Enron or shit like that.
Yep.
And so the accounting industry is the most archaic industry in the world
Yeah.
because accountants are, I want to do this every day for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
and I don't want to change. They hate change.
My dad's company, they had a CPA for like 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they were paying him like tens of thousands of dollars, and finally they were like looking at the numbers because my mom was like, I'm gonna actually go through all this shit and see like what we've been doing. They're like, we're paying him more than we're saving.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck are we doing this for then? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if he's not really like bending this or figuring out this
Right,
for our
or
company,
Or helping you make decisions.
Yeah,
as
then,
a
like,
business. Yeah.
why are we giving him like a whole salary every year?
Right. There's a
You know.
value. You have to. I think there's a value to be given to anybody you bring in from the outside, any contractor or
Yeah.
outsource. And it's the same thing with accounting. The problem with the accounting industry or finance in general is the value is sometimes not always seen
Yeah.
because most people don't understand.
Yeah.
And so I will always say, like, you put me in a room with a bunch of accountants, I'm going to kill myself. But I'm also not going to be the best technical accountant.
Yeah.
But if you give each of us a business,
Mm-hmm.
my business is going to be 10 times more successful than
Yeah.
any of theirs
Yeah.
because I can talk to the non-accounting people
Yeah.
while also accomplishing what really needs to be done on the accounting
Yeah.
side
Gotcha.
and get that done. And so that's what I do now. I work for a private equity firm, and we own a bunch of housing all over Colorado. Ugly apartments, just like all the ones all over Boise. I mean, beautiful apartments all over.
Yeah. The gorgeous apartments.
Gorgeous apartments that are all very similar and in areas that had a demand for housing, like
Yeah.
Boise did. And
Well, they're just so gorgeous. Like, obviously, they need to build them all the same.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that the same 4 architects all over the
Yeah.
Northwest are designing them.
Yeah. No, nothing at all.
But we have built a lot of housing, and we own some hospitality assets, and I help make sure we're compliant and
Yeah.
send out investor reporting, and
My
that's what I
mom-
do all day. Same thing every month. And that's it.
My mom just became like, well, she's been doing it for 2 years. She's been attending seminars and conferences and things, and she's a real estate investor now.
Oh yeah,
And she's
nice.
getting heavy into that. It's like because she wants my dad to retire.
Yeah.
My dad's been running the same company for like 40 years or
Mhm.
something, and she's got this not weird. I get it. Like, I think it's admirable, but she's got this drive.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, it's like she just wants him to go ride his Harley, and she wants to like just make buku bucks off of real estate
Yeah.
investing. And I was like, sure. I mean, she wants me to be her like cold caller, like
Yeah.
just sit all the day and be like, hey, are you interested in selling this for half as much as you have it listed for?
Right. The real opportunities are the ones that aren't listed at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I've seen the good side and the bad side of real estate. That's
Yeah.
that's what my dad's side of my family did growing up.
Okay. Yeah.
And 08, 09 changed a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I also saw, even if you're successful, ways to not do it, and
Yeah.
ways to do it, and
Right.
using other people's money makes things a lot easier
Yeah.
too. And it just depends on where you want to get your start. And
Yeah.
like, our company raised 140 million, and we're probably
Yeah.
valued at like 350 million.
Yeah.
We built 1,200 units of housing.
That's
That's
crazy.
like next level
Yeah,
scale,
yeah.
right? And we're small.
Yeah.
Like in the private equity space, we're considered
So,
a
yeah.
boutique firm,
Yeah.
right?
That's
If you're under
crazy,
$1 billion,
man.
you're considered boutique.
Yeah.
Whereas
Crazy amount of money, dude.
it's crazy. It's just play money.
Yeah.
I wire millions of dollars every week, and it's just
Shit.
like bum 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 bum, and it's like, there's approvals, and this
Would
person has to
anybody
approve
notice
this.
if a Gallardo
Oh,
just
yeah.
happened to go
No,
missing?
see, this is the thing about fraud, right?
Yeah.
Is fraud is easy to commit. It's
Yeah.
hard to get away with.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand is once you commit the fraud, to keep the game up is much more difficult.
Yeah.
And that's the deterrent. Is like
Yeah.
if you make it difficult for the person to both commit the fraud and get away with it, but really to get away with it, they're less likely to commit it.
That
Yeah.
phrase, it just had a weird tie. There's one of the people that was in like the cabinet for the Reagan administration, I
Mhm.
think. He was like super non-religious dude.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I know the Bible is real because 12 people died over this one belief.
Yeah.
And 12 people during the Watergate investigation couldn't hold their mouths shut for
Right.
2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that just reminded me of
Yeah.
that.
No,
I
but
thought
it's-
that was funny.
No, it's the same. And it's I could easily anybody in my position at any company could walk away with money.
Yeah.
But it's, do they get away with it? And
Dude.
A, no, and B, my integrity
Yeah.
and my name and what I've worked hard for is more important than like.
I just think it's always funny to joke about
it. Oh, I always when I was in public accounting, which is when you're in a CPA firm with outward facing clients.
Yeah.
We had a client ask, we would always get access to the client's bank because we were like the full outsource person. And they were like, well, what's going to stop you from going away with all my money? And we're like, absolutely nothing. We could do it tomorrow. And they were like, what do you mean? And we're like, we could do that. And they're like, then we're going to go to jail and prison and like be prosecuted. Like,
oops, is that my
that's what
account
stops
number?
us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Everything has a trace to it. Like, it's always funny to me, the people that, what's the word? When they take money from their embezzling.
Embezzling.
It's like, do you not understand? Like every time you press a button, like it's saved somewhere, and they can just literally track that right to you. Like,
and the only way they finally catch on is when you go to take a vacation or you stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that too, since my dad works for Equifax. The amount of information that is tracked online that you don't know is being tracked is so much information. You don't even know what to do with all that data and stuff, and it's just there, and it's so easy to grab too.
It's not really conspiracy theory because like it's a real thing, but I talk to my parents a lot about in the early 2000s nobody cared about how valuable their data was. Nobody knew what data was or that it was valuable. So every website, they're like, accept all cookies and accept all cookies and accept all cookies. And then those things go through. They scan all of your data. They take everything. And then they start personalizing ads for you. And they start taking this. And then that little bit that they can't do anything with, they sell. And then they're selling your data and they're selling your data. And it's like data is like $1 trillion industry that everybody just give their shit away for free all the time. Like, it's crazy.
Have you ever, like, with MCCGarage, you're in it to interview people and know the person. Have you ever thought about taking your accounting stuff and working with small businesses and kind of being like a business consultant and being
I do some consulting on the side.
Do you? Okay. both of us will raise our hand. But
I do consulting on a scale of like businesses that are between 10 and 15 employees and can't figure out like how to scale.
Sure.
Either they're worried about scaling too fast or something.
Dude,
to say,
I
know that fly loves me.
Holy shit.
I know.
They haven't been bothering us the whole time.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for like manageable growth.
Sure.
And then there's also just the struggles of most small business owners, like your dad or other people started out like, hey man, like I'm a plumber or I'm a sign maker or I'm a designer or I'm an IT engineer. Yeah. And it's like, I know how to do that and I know how to get clients and I know how to build that. But like once I have the team, how do I put the operations and the efficiency in place around everything?
That was my dad's thing. Like, cause he grew his company to, at one point, I think he had like between 30 and 40 employees.
Yeah.
And he reached this point where he was like, man, by myself, I'm doing, he was doing like 100K a month by himself. He's like, now I'm doing like $1 million a month, but I'm
pulling in like 50.
I'm still taking home like 50K a month for myself. And he was like, why am I doing all this bullshit?
There is a spot in a business cycle where you go from making, let's say 100K a month.
Yeah.
To I want to grow this thing and make 200K a month, and you actually go down.
Yeah.
And what scares business owners is like, am I going to go down to 25K if I keep going? And so what I help with is when you are here, I help you say, well, let's get you back up to 75. So maybe not 100. Yeah. With the same, change nothing. Just put the efficiencies in place you have right now. And then you're going to decide, what do we have to do to get to 150 or 200? Yeah. Or do we go back to the 100? Yeah. And in our country, like the culture is you got to grow, you got to get bigger, you got to get faster, you got to get better, you got to do more, you got to do more, you got to do more. Yeah. And it's like absorb, eat, drink, like just take everything in, right? Grow. We're the best country. America, fuck yeah. We have the most innovation, the most industry. We're the only country in the world with freedom, like, shit like USA. That, right? USA, yeah. So we're the best at everything. And so with small businesses, you're like, I have to grow. It's like, I have to grow. I have to get bigger. And the reality is, no, you don't. Yeah. Like, if you it used to be like that because you'd have to do that to get bought.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't matter what size you are, man. You can get bought. Like,
I was talking to my girlfriend about that. I was like, I can do one detail a day, 5 days a week, and we would be super comfortable.
yeah, it's
Like-
what lifestyle do you want?
Yeah.
Right. I have a coworker who is like, I want to get to $8 million, and I'm gonna silently walk away and just go away. Like that's my
Yeah.
goal, and I don't want anybody to know who I am, and that's all I need.
Yeah.
That's it. Only 8 million.
Only 8 million.
But like that's his goal.
Yeah.
I have another coworker that'd be like, I want to raise billions and billions of dollars in funds. I want to be on every podcast and every like that's his thing. Like I want my name cemented in the Elon Musks and the
next
PayPals
Andrew
and
Tate, ladies and
the
gentlemen.
next Andrew Tate. Like, and that's his style. Like he
Yeah.
wants that. I want that story of being that entrepreneur that did that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like that's his strategy, but that's where I kind of a lot of the time what I do is the people side of it,
Yeah.
which is the same thing with MCC.
Yeah.
It's literally like I'm consulting with a business right now where it's two owners. One's a little bit older, one wants to leave, and the
Yeah.
other guy is like just burnt out and just
Yeah.
like, you know, I want to leave something. I want my legacy to be this business, and it's like, well, do you need to grow it to do that, or do you
Yeah.
just need to find the right people to buy it that are going to
Yeah.
continue it?
Yeah.
And
That's where my dad's at with his.
yeah.
He just can't. He's struggling. He's struggling to find the right people to buy it because he wants them to. My dad's biggest thing his entire life is integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he now has clients that he's worked on their stuff for 20 years.
Yep.
And if they know it's him coming into the house, he's literally told me there's situations where he's walked in, there's like 30,000-40,000 in cash on the table,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not home, and they're just like, here's the garage code, just
Yep.
you know, and they know that he's got integrity. He's
Right.
not going to mess with anything, and that's his huge thing. So he's like, he won't sell,
Mm-hmm.
even though he needs to at this point in his life to
Yep.
retire, because he's like, well, who's going to have the integrity that
Yeah.
I've built the company on? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's also it ends up being like a second marriage where you've built this, or a
Yeah.
child where you've built this thing for, and it's hard to. Most of the time, it's just hard to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing that comes across is like my legacy and my integrity, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, it's just like you don't know what the fuck you're gonna do with yourself
Yeah.
when you're done with this.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with this one business I help. Is the guy's just like, all I've done is this like my whole life.
My dad's
It's-
only done plumbing. his
Exactly.
whole
And
life.
it's like, and it's this fear of like, I'm scared of like, what if I let this go?
Yeah.
And
Except for
this-
that brief stint as a pro motocross racer.
Yeah,
but then he went back to
that's cool,
plumbing.
yeah. But it's the same with cars, right? Like
Yeah.
you think about when somebody builds a car or has a cool story with a car, and it's
Yeah.
like they don't want to sell it to anybody.
No.
Like you know, especially the older cars, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
yeah.
or like or that are collectible. They're
Yeah.
like, I want this to go to somebody that's going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you always hear stories all the time of like, instead of getting $125,000 for that car, I took 60 because that's all the guy could offer me. But like I
Yeah.
connected with him and I knew he was going to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same. It's the same
Yep.
thing with business. Like
Yeah.
people don't. It's their baby and they just don't want it to go to anybody.
The only car that I've ever had like a major connection to as far as building it,
Mhm.
I parted it out when I was done with it because I didn't want
Yeah, you
anyone to
didn't wanna
have
give
it
it up.
how I
Yeah.
had it. Yeah.
But and that's what businesses do a lot of the time
Yeah.
too. But the scary part is now private equity firms like mine
yeah.
are buying regular businesses just like they're buying YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Right? So you look at Donut Media and all these
Donut Media got ruined,
and
dude.
they're all leaving.
Yeah.
Because I don't care what anybody tells you guys about private equity, they can say that they're unless a company is nonprofit,
Yeah.
the thing that matters most is the performance and the bottom line.
Yeah.
Whether no matter how much they care about the
Yeah.
brand or whatever. And so once you stop producing consistent returns
Mhm.
at a certain level, they are going to get pissed.
Yeah.
And it's if they don't get pissed, their investors are going to get pissed. And
Yeah.
it might be one investor, it might be two investors.
Mhm.
And that world is
Yeah.
a black hole.
Yeah.
You have family offices of the wealthiest people in the country that a family office is literally just a group of people like me
Mhm.
that go out and identify other businesses to invest in.
Yeah.
And that's all they do is manage this family's money
Mhm.
and grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it.
Yeah.
And they expect a return and they're hard line, like we want this return.
Yeah.
And they buy major stakes in these other companies so that they can control them and manage them. And
You'd think though, I don't know. There's a lot of that world that I don't understand, but with stuff like Donut,
mm-hmm.
you'd think like if they're gonna buy something because it's working really well, like why do they always try to fucking change it? Like you're interested in it because what they're doing is working so well
Yep.
that you're interested in buying it because you want a bit of that profit for yourself.
Yep.
And then they come in and they instantly start changing shit. It's like you bought it because it's working.
Because they don't understand the business.
Yeah.
They're coming in there and they're looking at this as, this is a stock, I should buy this stock.
Yeah.
Not, this is a business that I care about and I understand digital media on YouTube and how it works.
Yeah.
And so what private equity is, where it's successful, is they look at a business that's failing and they have a skill set to go in and make it better and then sell it.
Yeah.
So that's like what we do. Is ours was more like we build housing, right?
Yeah.
With the goal of selling it. So we took a piece of land, made it better.
Yeah.
But we also bought a lot of we bought a Super 8 in Durango, Colorado. And it was mom and pop, family owned for years, and it had a lot of issues. And now we are like the #1 hotel in Durango in terms of ratings. And so that is.
If I ever go through Durango, I'll make sure.
Hit me up. You stay at the Super 8, I'll get you a discount.
There you go.
And it's actually a nice Super 8.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you tell me.
Okay, I will.
But like that was our goal, was to make that a successful hotel, and it is.
Yeah.
Right. Where private equity goes wrong is you look at YouTube and you look at companies like Donut Media.
Yeah.
Right. They're successful. If you look at YouTube, they're a top channel.
Yeah.
They're grossing tons of AdSense revenue, and they have tons of brand deals.
Yeah.
And their views might fluctuate, but they're still, if you look at the overall arching network of YouTube, they're doing well, right?
Yeah.
And sure, they probably have a end of life at some point. Like your personalities are why you watch them, but also like, a taste change.
Yeah.
And they got to navigate that. So what private equity does is comes in there and says like, oh, we want a piece of this. Like there's this whole net, like somebody might like cars or like me, that's in this space and says I like cars, and instead of doing something creative, it's like I'm gonna raise a bunch of money and go buy these things.
Yeah.
And so they get their guy, the investment guy on the phone that raises money, and then they get me on the phone that manages the accounting, and they get like 4 other people that manage operations.
Yeah.
And one guy says like, yeah, we can bring somebody in that understands YouTube and you know, oh, I understand YouTube and like we can manage this.
Yeah.
And then the Donut Media guys are looking at this like it's our payday.
Yeah.
Like here, we never know how much we're going to make. If video does good or bad, if we get the brand deal, if we don't.
Yeah.
We have to manage this thing. We didn't start this thing to manage a business. We start this thing to have fun.
Yeah.
And so it's like now we can get paid $2 million, $4 million, $8 million, $10 million for 50 or 60, 70% of this thing and walk away. Like Doug with Cars and Bids.
Yeah.
He doesn't own any of that shit anymore. He's like
cashed out, dude.
totally cashed 30% or maybe 40% of that whole thing.
Yeah.
He's got a firm that owns that. And then all of a sudden the firm comes in and goes, okay, this is how this world works. So what are you going to do to promise the same return you did last quarter, next quarter?
Yeah.
We want to see the projections. We want to know what you're going to do to make sure you get the same views.
Yeah.
And when you don't hit that,
yeah,
because they're then putting that in reports that go to investors and everyone else, and they're expecting those returns so they can say, hey, you're going to get this cash in your bank every quarter.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why didn't you produce?
Yeah.
And now the pressure's on.
Yeah.
And the Donut Media guys are going, this is even worse.
Yeah.
And so they said, fuck it. And they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where private equity gets it all wrong.
Yeah.
And that space is such a nobody understands that space unless you're in it. I didn't understand it until I was in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of positives to it because it does help a lot of areas and a lot of businesses, but there's also a lot of, like, there's landscape businesses being bought by private equity.
Yeah.
Wild. Like you could go get a business. You could go get a business and it be like you go get your lawn done.
Yeah.
And that business could be owned by a private equity firm that owns 30 other landscape companies.
Yeah. No, I've dealt with this before. I used to manage my dad's plumbing company. And sometimes we'd have to be dealing with like a design company that's local Boise. Their whole fucking brand is that they're local.
Right.
They're Boise owned.
Yep.
They can talk to you on the phone.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I'm actually needing to go higher up because there's a design change.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need this fixed now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, I need to talk to my boss.
Yep.
I'm like, just give me your boss's phone number. Well, they're going to have to talk to their boss.
Yep.
And I realized that it's actually owned by a fucking company in Connecticut.
Yep.
Who's just managing shit. Like, the people that are there aren't even from Boise.
Nope.
Like,
and that's what I like about the company I work for in that sense is that I'm the only one outside of Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else in our company's in Colorado. They live in those communities.
yeah.
And they're from those communities. And so
Yeah.
they get Colorado.
Yeah.
And I feel less bad about, like, the job I have or the things we build or whatever, because, and there's nothing to feel bad about, but like I'm not like going into towns and destroying communities by just being a whore.
Would you sorry, I have a question.
That's okay.
Do you think that maybe like business owners are just like they don't know what to do as far as like if the podcast was ever so successful that we are like we cannot manage this much money or this shit, like we don't know how to figure this out, why would we sell out rather than just hiring someone like you to manage it?
Because a couple different reasons. You are managing this, you hire somebody like me, and you hire a team, and you have operations people, and you have accountants, and you have a team, and now you're having to run a business and do business meetings instead of creating content.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so now you continue to hire people to help with things, and it's less fun. And so private equity person comes along and says, hey, you want to get back to making content? Like, sell the business house, we'll handle everything. You guys make content. And you're like, hell yeah, man, I'm making money and it's good and like we're doing really well.
And then they're
but
like,
look,
you
we can
can't
get
save
this huge
this
payout
anymore.
and we can make content.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, we can get back to the basics.
Yeah.
And then you don't.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you get to make content, but if you make the wrong content and it doesn't produce, you're in trouble.
Then they also come and they're like, hey, you can't say this anymore. You also can't do this. Like, oh, that video that you think is going to do well, like, we don't agree with that video, so you can't
we
put
don't
it
like
out.
this thumbnail. We don't like your idea for this video. We want to go over all your ideas for all your videos before you make them.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
so so that's like your, like, that's like any hobby or passion that turns into a, because you talked a little bit about this with Chris and car meets and stuff too. It's like, when does it become a job versus a passion or a hobby? And it just depends on your, it really just depends on where you want it to go. But if it becomes uber successful, like, you just have to, or even just success, let's just say it becomes successful and is making some cash for you guys, you just have to decide how you want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was talking to my mom, actually, because my parents have both had successful companies, both of them. And I was like, we're just going over mainly just like tax stuff. For both the detail business and the podcast, because there's that $600 a month, and then all of a sudden you're like thrown into this world of like, oh, I got to do all this shit. And I got to keep track of everything. I got to keep track of what we're paying him every episode, and it's like, oh, I'll just write down that episode we paid him $75. No, like, how many minutes did you go, and what is he making for this, and what is he doing for this, and is he a W-2 or is he contracted? Like, so now I have to contract him and like a person versus
give him
a
1099
company.
and
It's like, it's such a world of just shit that I'm like, I don't even want to do this, because then it's not like I'm just showing up Friday and having a podcast. Now I have to like file paperwork.
It looks like you could use Tyler in a myriad of.
Well, you're not going to use me. I don't do that shit anymore. But I hire people to help me with that shit. But I'm more than happy to ever provide you advice.
He'll tell you
feedback.
how to do it, and then point you in the
I say
who to hire.
It's the first thing I did when I set up MCC was like, I came up with the idea. I put the plan together of like, this is how I want to do it. And the goal was, I had 4 goals: 100 episodes, have fun, be authentic and genuine, and be creative. That was the 4 goals. I wrote those down. And then the next piece was set up the business. And I was like, oh yeah, and then learn videography and editing, and like actually find somebody that wants to do this with, like, film an interview. But I set up the LLC. I registered everything. I got a QuickBooks. It's the dork in me, right? But like, I now am able to track like I put all my camera stuff in there. All of my like expenses. I run like, if I do make anything off of merchandise. If when I hit, because I will hit it this year. When I hit the 1,000 subscribers, this fucking fly loves
Dude,
me.
it loves you, bro.
When I hit the 1,000 subscribers and I start, if I hit 1,000 subscribers tomorrow, I'd be making $700 a month off the views I get now with the AdSense. I don't have to do anything. I got the bank account. I got the QuickBooks file. It can just go. And that's where like setting up in the beginning, as much as it's a pain in the ass, you get that stuff done early.
I need to do it
and
all.
then it's just like, and it's like pulling teeth, dude. It's such a pain. But you get all that stuff done early, and then it's like, as it starts to grow, it's like, somebody's like, hey, I need help with taxes. Well, do you have financials? Yeah, I got a QuickBooks. Here you go. Here's a login. And it's just done. And it's like, nowadays you can sync all your bank accounts and your credit cards, And if you have business like accounts, and you can just let it sink and just put everything in, and even if it's not in the right spot, at least it's in there, and then you can pay somebody to figure it out.
I have a very dumb question.
There's never a dumb question.
I was like, I just don't know anything about this, and I was talking to my mom about. I was trying to decide for like nonprofit versus maybe you pull some profit out. But we were talking about. She was like, if you do $600 profit in a month, you have to file it. And I was like, what if we just spend everything we make like on equipment?
Yeah.
Like, is there a part where they're like, okay, you're not a nonprofit, you are spending everything you make, but you have to pay taxes?
Why do you want to be a nonprofit?
I don't want to be a nonprofit.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, how long could I get away with just upgrading equipment before they're like...
If you're not... Well, first of all, if you're not making any money, like revenue, right? Like there's... And you guys just buy a bunch of shit. Yeah. You can just buy a bunch of shit. And, like, it's just you buying a bunch of shit. Yeah. If you're looking to, like, write this stuff off, like, where you're like, I want to get a deduction for these things on my taxes because I'm investing in a business. Yeah. So, like, you start a business tomorrow. Let's just say it's landscape, and you buy a bunch of mowers. Yeah. You don't want to just go buy those and say, I bought them for myself. Yeah. You want to get credit for that when you start bringing in revenue. Yeah, yeah. So, if you're just an LLC, a for-profit, like, what I would do is if it's just the two of you would be the owners or are the owners, right? Yeah. Just start a partnership, put a simple partnership agreement. You guys are 50-50, and then you just file taxes as a partnership. Yeah. And because you can always change it or restructure it later. Yeah. And then what you do is you just start putting all your stuff together of like, what does everything cost? Yeah. And you guys can start writing that stuff off right away. The problem is if you guys go 5 years and don't make a penny, then it's going to be hobby losses. Yeah. And then they're going to claw all that back. If the IRS cares about you enough. Yeah. Right? In 1990, I think it was like for every business there was like half an auditor. I'm making that up. But like just to say it was half an auditor. Yeah. Now it's like for every business there's like 1/16 of an auditor. Because no one wants to work for the IRS and they don't have the budget. And so they're not going after people that like have $5,000 in equipment that they write off and then don't produce any revenue. They're going after people that are like worth it. Yeah. So it's like a risk game. You just want to structure it right for you two. This is because what if you guys have an argument one day about how to make a decision about something? Sure. Yeah. Like maybe the private equity comes in and you're like, dude, we got to do this. Like this guy knows what he's talking. Like Tyler wants to buy us and like he's going to let us do whatever he wants because he knows both sides. Yeah. And you're like, dude, no, he's going to fuck us. Like the business side of him. He has a different personality when he's a businessman. He's an asshole versus MCC. He's himself. Yeah. Which is true. I'm two very different people.
It makes sense.
MCC is me. Yeah. And then work business me
is the masshole.
I'm very different because that's just how I have to be. Yeah. And so you might be like, no way. And it's like, if you guys don't have anything in place that says how that decision is made, that could ruin you just making the decision. Yeah. Whereas if you guys have something to fall back on that says, well, in our agreement, like we put it to a vote, and if we have a third party tiebreaker, like him, or Derek,
not leaving anything to him,
or you flip a coin, literally could be you flip a coin, then it's like it's less personal, and it's more about like we made a business decision, And anybody who tells you business isn't emotional or there shouldn't be emotions in business is full of shit. Like, especially when you're building it yourself. Yeah. Like there's tons of emotions in that. Yeah. So I would just set it up as a normal partnership and get all your whatever you've spent money on, get it together. Yeah. And figure out how much that is, and then if you're paying somebody if you're paying them over $600 annually, you got to give them a 1099
annually.
Yeah, if you're paying somebody more than $600 in a year, you have to give them a 1099.
You son of a bitch, dude. Yeah, we've already paid you more than $600.
Yeah, so you would give him a 1099. Yeah. Otherwise, like if there is no business and you guys are just doing this for fun, you also could just say you're gifting it to him. Oh, and in that case, I think like the gift max is like $15,000 before you start paying $16,500 before you start paying taxes.
But isn't that like that stuff can catch up to you too? Yeah. Like if we ever scaled so big that it's like we're paying him expeditiously more, then it's like
making money. Yeah. Then you got to start being careful. Yeah. Right. So if you're making, the minute you start bringing money and somebody's sending you stuff, then you got to start being careful because then that's triggering the IRS to be like, oh, I got to look at this. Yeah. And also, it's just you guys may get to a point like, let's say this podcast blows up, and like one of my dreams for MCC is to have, I want like rest in peace Studio Boise space.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that big of a space.
Yeah.
But I want to own it. It's like
Yeah.
my dream would be to have a space like that and get like a mechanic and a detailer and have their own bays and then just have this big open space,
Hey,
store
let,
cars.
let
and
me
do,
know,
like,
dude.
do all my videos in there and shit.
I'll come crank shit
Let
out for
us
you all day
know.
long.
I'll be your mechanic and your
Yeah,
welder,
so there you
and
go.
then he'll be your detailer. We're
Yeah.
set.
But
dude.
it's like they can have their own business. They pay
Mhm.
their rent for the space or whatever, and
Yeah.
like and do the thing. But if I want to buy that
Yeah.
or lease that, I need financials. I
Oh,
need
yeah.
all the business stuff. I need a business loan. Like I
Yeah.
got to have years of things, and so it's like unless I'm doing it separately with different stuff. So it's like all of that stuff matters when you're.
Oh yeah.
And the second you start a business, like what you don't realize is like if you go for a mortgage or
Oh yeah.
for your home or
Mhm.
whatever, like when they run the certain background checks they run, the business shows up.
Yeah.
And so like you have to then say like, oh yeah, like this business is active or inactive or
Mhm.
it's just dormant or not dormant.
Yeah.
And you know, it's bank fraud if you don't tell the truth. And
Yeah.
so if it's active and it's not dormant and you're doing stuff,
Yeah.
like, well, they're going to ask for financials because they want to know like, is there any risk
Yeah.
to them
Yeah.
on whatever loan they're giving you? So it's just like all of that stuff factors into
Yeah.
doing your thing.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, I definitely with my business, I've just had the mentality that I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to get as much advice as possible. Like I don't want to make obviously there's going to be mistakes like starting
Yeah.
anything you're going to make
You
mistakes
You
but
should make mistakes in life and as a business owner. Like those,
yeah, but I
should.
I don't want to just like make mistake after mistake
Right.
after mistake. I want to like learn
Learn
and
from them.
build, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been like we were talking about earlier where it's like some people just want to like be the biggest and the best.
Yep.
I've never cared for that. It's like I love
You just want to be taller. I get it. I'm there.
I want to be taller.
Sucks to suck.
I love the freedom of like I can come do the podcast. I can
Yeah.
I can pick a day and just edit videos. You know, I could schedule the details when I want to schedule them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I never want to get so big that it's like like the meeting has to be that day. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like if I can do 10, 20K months by myself and just
Mhm.
enjoy life and schedule shit when I want to, I'm happy.
Yeah, if you're on a place of like, I need this to survive. Like
Yeah.
I've got 8 kids I gotta feed,
Yeah.
and like debt and a mortgage.
Yeah.
And like I want to put these kids to college or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's more like, you know, I can set the amount I want to do to support the lifestyle I want to live.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the culture is shifting.
I'm debt free as of last week, so I'm ready to just
Congratulations, that's awesome.
just chill out.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
okay if it's good debt. There's good debt and bad debt. It just
Yeah.
depends on the type of debt.
Yeah.
Like even our business, like I said, we raised 110 million, and then we have 20 million on a line with an
Mhm.
investor. So we have 130 million of total investment. We're valued at 300 million because we also have 120 million of debt we used across
Mhm.
all the to build the projects.
Yeah.
Because you leverage the debt to
Yeah.
create better returns for your
Yeah.
investors.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing when you like a mortgage is okay. Like if it
Yeah.
works for you, like
yeah.
you know, like a business loan is okay. A business credit line is okay. Like those, but if in the right situation.
Yeah.
And so the zero sum debt thing that what's his name pushes
Dave
Ramsey all the time is.
I-
Like if you have a problem with spending and you
Yeah.
can't stop using a credit card, don't fucking have a credit card.
I'll say that like his plan helped my parents because my parents were, you know, they made good money.
Yeah.
And they just financed a lot of
Yep.
shit. And his plan helped them pay off like $1 million in debt in like a year.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
his plans are good.
It works, but I'm like, but then when you get to that point and it's like you want to scale anything and he's like, never take out debt if you can't
Yep.
do it cash. I'm like, you're so full of shit, dude.
Yeah. That's where I disagree with him a lot is
yeah.
you don't get as many views and followers if you're not extreme.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he takes the extreme. And
Yeah.
also when it comes to money, people struggle with that
Yeah.
in a way where it's like they can't control themselves even
Mhm.
if in a lot of
Yeah.
time. What I struggle with him is money and is very emotional.
Yeah.
And like a lot of my financial stuff throughout my life has been driven by things that I had to resolve through therapy.
yeah.
And that made me a better
Yeah.
person financially, like in a lot of ways, but financially.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go over any of that.
No.
And he shames people for the
Yeah.
mistakes they've made versus like hey, like, yeah, you need to be held accountable for these mistakes.
Yeah.
But like, here are the resources to help do that.
I
That's
hate-
what pisses me
I
off
hate it
about
when
him.
people come on his show and they're like, maybe they made a mistake by just taking a bunch of debt out and now it's drowning them. And instead of sitting there and be like, okay, let's figure out how we can help the situation, which he has the knowledge to just sit there and help them figure out their plan with the situation, he spends the first 15 minutes like calling them a fucking idiot. And they're like, well, this is your problem. You don't need a brand new truck. You don't need this shit. Like, okay, like they bought it already. Like it's already there. You don't need to.
But that's not
antagonize
sexy,
them.
and that's not doesn't give views.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Get
Yeah.
this. They already found that out when they realized they were
Yeah.
in debt to their eyes.
Yeah.
There are some people that come on some of those shows. There's another guy, a younger guy, that does that too. Alex something, and they don't like. There's people that just don't get it or don't care.
Yeah.
People that are just
I
really
think I
dumb.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The
He wears glass and he just screams at the top. It looks like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
well that weird upper middle class push that happened in the early 2000s into now, where it's like every family is cookie cutter, like same wife, same brand new trucks, same boat, same house, and the whole neighborhood is the same. Like they look super rich, but literally after they pay all of their payments, they have $0 a month,
and everything's financed up the ass.
yeah.
Listen, some people just can live like that, and it's like
I
good for
could
them.
not, dude.
And
No
like,
way.
I just, that's not where I want to be.
No, definitely not.
So congrats on being debt free, though.
Thank you. it's
That's going to change soon with that car.
It's a big relief. Yeah, no kidding. I gotta get a credit. I don't even have a credit card, which is probably a good thing, but I don't even have.
No,
a credit
you
card.
definitely want to get a credit card.
Yeah, I know.
So, if you ever want to buy a home, if you get a mortgage that's not a jumbo mortgage, you need at least one credit card to just even get accepted for the mortgage, which is stupid, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
If you want a jumbo mortgage, you got to have 3 credit cards. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
What is
Yeah.
a jumbo mortgage?
I love how
A jumbo mortgage is jumbo mortgage is basically over a certain size of mortgage. So,
Okay.
and it's set by state, and it's set by demographic, and it's set not demographic. It's set by median home prices in those areas too.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so,
dude, Idaho's like median home price, like median income is so like fucking wonky right now.
yeah,
But
and that came out of 0809.
Gotcha.
yeah,
So you had junk mortgages that you could submit the same data for information for a $200,000 mortgage versus a $4 million mortgage, and there was nothing to separate the risk appetite or the risk that the banks were taking in those applications unless the bank themselves set it.
yeah.
And so they came up with what's called a jumbo mortgage, so that once you hit that limit, you have to submit a bunch more stuff and prove a bunch more things.
I love how they reward debt with more debt. Like
It's your credit. Yeah, your entire credit portfolio is based off of debt, not how debt free you are.
Yeah.
It's very ass backwards. Like
yeah,
I have an 820 credit score,
yeah.
but I could go out and get $300,000 in personal loans tomorrow,
You could get
and that my credit score would stay 820.
the thing I learned.
As
You
long as I
could buy a
make the payments.
Lamborghini Gallardo tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you're fine.
The
I
thing
could buy an event.
John Chung's Huracan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing
I
I
could buy a
lear-
Bugatti, and my credit will be good as long as I make the
The
payments.
thing I learned about credit score, the first time I learned that, like
Mhm.
it's literally just like they just want to give you more debt.
Yep.
Is like all love to Derek, but he works at Subaru.
Yep.
He's just a delivery driver, or I think he's changed his position now, but he doesn't make the best money. He's just a dealership worker,
Mhm.
but he has a really good credit score because
Yeah.
he always pays his debt.
Yep.
And he walked in on this like income that I would have never touched anything like in that dealership, and he got a $50,000 STI, and they didn't even ask questions. They're like, "What do you want? Can we get you anything?
Yeah.
Extended warranty, like whatever the fuck he wanted." And I was just looking at like his income to like
Debt
the
ratio,
payment.
they don't care.
Like as long as you have that score, they're
No.
just like you can get whatever you
Yep.
want, dude.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And your credits, and again, your credit score is based off of all that. And it's just your utilization is your biggest thing.
Yeah.
And your utilization is just how much credit do you have. So if you have one credit card, it's $1,000 limit, and you spend $200, like you only put $200 ever when the statement comes out, that's 20% utilization.
Yeah.
As long as you stay below that, it helps your credit score. The
Yeah.
second you go over that, you hurt your credit score. So how do you improve your credit?
Yeah.
Through utilization? You either don't use your credit card or you get more credit.
Yeah.
And so most people just are using their credit card. So what do they do to help their utilization? They get more credit.
Yeah.
And then they use more credit.
Yeah.
And so then you just go through this death cycle of like credit card debt.
Yeah, my mom, she was against credit cards her entire life. Like she got her first credit card like 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're a necessary evil.
Yeah, but she was like, she literally like fill up like both vehicles with gas and go home and pay it off.
Yeah.
And then like she would buy a bunch of groceries and go home and pay it off. She like never let that shit sit.
I
on
pay
there
mine
ever.
off every 2 weeks, whether it's like hits a statement, because I don't want anything to hit the statement balance.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just hate that,
Yeah.
because it's like I don't want anything on there,
Yeah.
and I get out of control with like I love fucking cash back, man, and like points and shit, and it's like stupid because it's like you got to spend to get it. Right?
Yeah.
But like, man, I work the system hard.
Really?
It's like a hobby.
Yeah.
And we talk about hobbies. Mine is
Couponing.
mine is cash back couponing. Mine is cash back rewards, man.
Yeah.
You want to figure out the best way to get the most cash back? I can help you with that.
There you go.
You're gonna have to spend a lot of money, but I can
Yeah.
help you with that.
It's like I'm in so much debt, but look at all this cash back I got.
Exactly.
I got $10.
Look at how many miles I have on Delta right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, exactly.
Oh shoot, dude. I think that's a really good pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's great.
Good.
Are you?
I know this is a long time. Sorry, I
No,
talked
dude.
a lot.
We love it. Like this is our comfy spot. Like
Okay, good.
We love
Yeah.
we
I
love
feel
going
good.
as long as possible. Like when the conversation's flowing, you just have to keep letting
Right.
it go. Like,
Yeah.
That's
What
what.
do we get? Like 2.5, 3 hours?
3
hours.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here a while.
Yeah.
You don't
It doesn't
know when
feel
you're
like
in
3
here.
hours.
Yeah.
To be fair, this was a really fast-moving podcast.
Yeah.
This did not feel like 3 hours.
It was good. It was
Okay,
a really
good.
good conversation.
Yeah.
So
The
I
fly hit
had
me
fun.
right at the end. I
Oh,
almost made it
dude.
the
Yeah.
entire time.
I know.
well, I'm really thankful you came on, dude.
Dude, I'm thankful to be here, and I had a lot of fun with you guys, too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
appreciate it. Have fun at Track Shark. I won't be there.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna be there?
No. I'm flying out
No.
to Boston Friday.
No,
Next Friday.
dude.
So, yeah.
That's why we had to reschedule him.
Yeah.
He was
'cause I was
supposed to be
rescheduled
next
Friday.
Yeah,
I will be at
that's
Honda Day tomorrow, which this will be after Honda Day, but
Dang, dude, think about all the people there with cars that you could have talked to.
I know. Honestly, I know I've talked to most of them. Yeah.
I want you to plug your stuff, obviously.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At real MCC Garage on Instagram,
Yeah.
because MCC Garage was taken, so I put I'm the real one in front of it.
You are the real one, dude. The real deal
yep.
in the flesh.
Yep. If you put MCC Garage on Google, I'm the first thing to pop up for YouTube.
Sick.
That's natural SEO, by the way. I didn't pay for that. And then if you go on YouTube and you just type in at it,
Yeah.
MCC Garage.
Sweet.
Don't care if you follow me on Instagram. It's great if you
Mhm.
do. If not, that's fine. If you go subscribe on YouTube, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. Definitely subscribe.
Yeah.
It's amazing content. It's
Appreciate it.
top tier content.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and the quality will continue to get better.
Yeah.
I've definitely been learning a lot, but I would just say to your listeners, like always, feel free to reach out to me with.
Yeah.
If you have a car and you want to do an episode, do not hesitate to reach out. If you don't have a car and you just want to shoot the shit, reach out. If you have
Yeah.
accounting questions,
Reach
out.
Yeah.
life questions, whatever.
You
I'd be more
talk
than
I
bullshit
was
happy.
gonna
about
say,
hockey.
what did
Reach
you-
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
What
Yeah.
did we just naturally reach the top of? Was it YouTube? For Off the Path?
What do you mean?
There's like a million Off the Paths because it's just like a
Oh yeah.
thing. Well, we were just talking about this. I think it's YouTube that we like naturally
yeah, you look
naturally
up-
reach the top. You look Off the Path with the first one now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
it was a cool feeling. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like you're talking about emotionally connection to these things.
Mhm.
Like I got the banner in the mail today.
Yeah,
I
it's
laid it
awesome.
out on the floor and I was like, this is the coolest fucking
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, so,
It's great to build
yeah.
something and have fun doing it.
Yeah.
and
Sorry, I almost just took you out with the mic.
It's okay.
Anyway,
I'm
I
all
think that's a
right.
great note to end on. Go buy this dude's merch. It's super sick
Yeah.
and it comes in really sick
And
bags.
if you
The-
film an episode, you get free merch.
there you go.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
the bag is so cool. I'm obsessed with the bag and there might be Off the Path
Sticker
bags.
mule.
Yeah, there you go. But goodbye. Peace.
Bye.